and here we go.
There's the deluge. Here's ignition.
Traveling up.
Did he just do a kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, Gino.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, it sure looks like a perfect flow.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
We did have an observation.
343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers can fly!
Bingo! Right in the center.
Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No.
Oh my God.
Yikes. You bet. Sure. We don't need any more of these.
One of the questions we get all the time is, are you excited? Absolutely.
Artemis II is more than a mission to the moon and back. It is the next step that gets humanity to Mars.
For decades now, literally thousands upon thousands have risen to that challenge.
May I introduce them to you all?
Jeremy Hansen, Christina Hammett-Koch, Victor Glover, Reed Wiseman.
We are going to launch on top of the most powerful rocket NASA's ever made.
We're going to fly around the moon in the spacecraft Integrity.
We are going to the moon together. Let's go.
Hello everybody, you saw it there. Get ready for launch to the moon. We are coming up in just a little bit on TLI, or Trans-Lunar Injection, which is the burn that will send the crew of 4 on their way around the moon. The first time that we will see humans leave the Earth's sphere of influence in 53 years. I'm Sawyer Rosenstein. I am your host for today's TLI Burn stream. Of course, as always, I am not alone. I am joined by an awesome team who will help talk you through everything that's going to happen today. Starting off first, who do we have? We've got Ryan Caton. How's it going, Ryan?
Hello, everybody. Great to be back, as always. Just over 24 hours from launch now. 24 hours, 33 minutes. Yeah, it's great to be back. We've got a very exciting critical burn coming up, because everything up to this point, right, it's like, they might not go to the moon because the launch could scrub. They might not go to the launch because they might not go to the moon because they'll have to stick in Earth orbit. TLI Burn is going to change that, and fingers crossed it goes smoothly in 40 minutes time.
That's exactly what we are hoping for. And yes, you can get into the semantics that it's in, the Earth's sphere of influence, but I'm talking about going into the lunar sphere of influence, okay? Try to have a little fun with that. Let me have my fun. And someone who I know will let me have my fun while I'm on the air is Alex. How's it going, Alex?
Integrity, Houston. Did you copy my last?
Well, I'm currently trying to listen into one of the latest updates in terms of, what they call deltas to their plan.
You're talking about the UTC time. We called you, but then didn't hear back, so I'll just start over. We are looking at UTC burn pad that we started with earlier today that we changed to V3. It's day 92 and time is 1740, correct? And we'll save that as version 4.
That's correct, Jeremy. Are you ready for the deltas?
Are we going to hear that?
I hope so.
Okay, go ahead, your deltas.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, all three are in the guidance solution box. Delta V totes, 1276.3 feet per second. TGO, 5 minutes, 50 seconds. Delta V feet per second, Z direction, negative 276.7.
Okay. They were giving them the delta V, the change in velocity.
Of TGO, and we changed the Z direction, and we got the new delta V tote of 1276.3.
Yep, there we go.
Good read back. And if you can, we'll take a status of the crew power downs for the pre-TLI timeline block.
Also sounds like they shortened it to 5 minutes 50 seconds as opposed to 5:51.
Rounds are completely crisp.
Yep.
Copy, power downs
So,
complete. Do you have any questions for us?
I'm updating because I actually, earlier today, they were also given the Delta V numbers.
We might as well ask you for a go for targeting at minute 31.
You are go.
You can disregard that. We'll just verify and initiate.
You are go. That's exactly right, Jeremy. Expecting that to happen automatically.
All right.
And if you wanted the number for that delta V, the change in the velocity that this burn will impart, so they were saying 1,276.3 feet per second should be 389 meters per second. I already have my own spreadsheet for this. But yeah.
There we go, yep. Here we go. We'll try not to talk over the crew as much as we can, but of course, that's probably going to happen because they don't have those little Quindar tones anymore to let us know when they're about to start talking. So we'll do our best on that. Of course, we'll do our best, as always, to answer your questions. You can tag us at NASASpaceflight or at NSF, and we will try and answer as many of them as we can throughout the course of the stream. They will appear in the panel that we have in the back channel. We'll see if we can break Jay Keegan's work again today. Who is, by the way, the one pushing the buttons, pulling the levers, and producing. So while we're getting with the numbers already then, Alex, how about we discuss what is actually going to happen with the translunar injection burn? So we heard all these delta V numbers, and it's a 5 minute, 50 second duration. What does all that mean?
Yeah, so when they launched, initially they separated from a core stage, right? They got first into a preliminary orbit with an apogee around 2,200 kilometers in altitude, right? But then they did another burn, so technically two burns, a little burn to raise the perigee, the lowest point in their orbit with the ICPS, the upper stage of SLS, right? And then the second burn was the bigger one. That was the one that is called apogee raise burn. That's the one that, as its name implies, it raises the apogee being the highest point in their orbit around the Earth, and that one went a little bit beyond 70,000 kilometers in altitude. So they got to that apogee, that highest point in their orbit, very early this morning for Eastern time, basically around noontime my time. And when they went to that point, Orion, with its own service module engine, performed another slight perigee raise burn, because the orbit that they went into was also set up so that the upper stage of the SLS rocket will eventually just re-enter the Earth, right? And so you don't want to be in that sort of orbit with the crew itself, right? You want to dispose of the second stage, but not the crew just yet. You don't want to re-enter just yet. And so they did that little perigee raise maneuver about 12 hours before this TLI burn, and now that TLI burn will give them, from that approximate 70,000 kilometer apogee, it'll give them enough oomph, I guess, enough thrust to go all the way out to lunar distances. Now, as I mentioned, it's about 389 meters per second. If you want to know how much is that compared to, for example, the amount of change in velocity that you need from low Earth orbit to go to translunar injection directly, that's about only 10% of the way there. So they're pretty much like that upper stage of SLS did already like 90% of the work. And the reason that they're doing all of this, right, is because this mission is about the test, right? And about testing Orion. And so you don't want to send them directly to the moon, because something happens, your way back is many days down the line. We already lived through that in the 1970s with Apollo 13, right? And this is the very first time they're launching crew on Orion. And so that's why they had these 24 hours in this very close orbit compared to how far away the moon is. Again, it doesn't take that much to go to the moon from this orbit to then do this translunar injection, but still it is quite nearby. You can return him in a matter of hours, basically. So after this translunar injection, there's no way back ish. there's a way back. They have enough propellant for at least the very first few hours after the translunar injection, being able to turn around and come back and do sort of like a turnaround aboard, basically, right? But after that, it becomes too expensive and actually doesn't save that much time, and so they will have to go around the moon and come back. So it is a very important burn for the simple matter that after that, it's also the way that they return back to Earth, right? It's not only the translunar injection burn, but as they call it, it's also Orion's deorbit burn. It's the burn that will set them up for return to Earth 6 days from now. And so it's very important, 8 days from now. And so it's very important for them to be completely sure, especially the people on the ground, mission control in Houston, to be completely sure that they are go for that. And we got that go a few hours ago, so they are ready to do that. They are confident and basically completely safe, right? That they're going to be well and good to go for that burn on Orion, and that Orion will perform as well as it can and basically as it should, right? And so they are now go for that translunar injection, hopefully, as you see here, in about 32 minutes from now. So let's see what happens.
Of course, all eyes are going to be on the crew, and hopefully they will then be on their way to the moon. And I'm amazed still from everything we're seeing. Occasionally we're getting those live videos. You see outside Orion, they've got ones mounted on those X-Wing solar panels that they have out there. A couple other exterior cameras. But keep in mind, they are indeed pretty far away. So not always going to be this 4K HD, ultra high definition everything. Which, by the way, there's a question here from ChronoWing who's wondering, is there a delay between the communications between the astronauts and NASA? If so, any idea on how long it is? Ryan, is there a delay using TDRS and DSN?
Absolutely. The speed of light, even though it might be really, really quick, is still a speed, right? It's not infinitely fast. There is no such thing that can travel, that we know of, that can travel that quickly in the universe. The speed of light is the speed limit of physics, right? So I'm not sure what the exact time is right now for Orion, but I do know when they get out to the vicinity of the moon, it's going to be in the realm of 3 seconds. And that is, not great, but also not terrible, right? If it's not like you're going to Mars and it's minutes long, right? It's a few seconds. So it's, I'd say comparable to like a video call on a poor video connection. Or a poor internet connection, I meant.
Yeah, I mean, when you think of like connections between the space station and the ground, I believe that's a delay of about 1/10 of a second, approximately. When they were they were doing the proximity operations demonstration last night / this morning, depending on how you look at it. At that point, the delay was about 1 second-ish, I believe it said. The Deep Space Network, on their communications thing that they has, if you click on it, it will time delay is between communications sent out from the ground to the spacecraft and back. But at the same time, you also have a really well-trained crew that, if there is something that 3 seconds is going to be the difference between life or death,
TLT and Orb Guide converged. We're taking a look, but initial results are looking good.
Okay, we're just comparing values right now.
Of course, they want to get these numbers just right for this burn to put them on that perfect trajectory that will not only send them out to the moon, but make it a free return trajectory so that once they swing around the moon, they will just turn right back around to the Earth and hopefully not have to do any major correction burns in between. Which Game Player Warrior is asking, Alex, is this being done by Victor manually, since he was flying Orion last night, or is this the onboard systems and computers?
It is completely automated. It's already programmed into the spacecraft computers, and one of the things that they were telling them basically is those differences in case they need to manually, because it's uplinked from the ground, right? But in case they manually have to enter that for whatever reason, like they lose communications or something like that, they have the numbers in front of them, right? They have the latest numbers, and that's why they were talking about, the different differences
Integrity.
in the delta V's.
Houston has completed the poll for TLI. When the engine ignites, you embark on humanity's lunar homecoming arc and set the course to return Integrity and her crew safely home. Houston is go for TLI.
There we go.
Let's go.
Integrity copies, and your Integrity crew is go for TLI. With this burn to the moon, we do not leave Earth, we choose it.
Nice. It's usually for these large milestones and events that we get the sappy messages from the ground.
Integrity copy, thanks for those beautiful words.
Or as they call it, beautiful words.
One thing I will just note, I did just look it up. Even though they're technically on TDRS right now, I believe, they are still getting downlink from Madrid on the Deep Space Network, and that is 0.09 seconds right now. So it's a tenth of a second for communications to Artemis II over the DSN.
Hey, from Madrid. I don't know anyone from Spain that has a connection there.
Wish I had a connection to that place.
Fair enough. You could see there some of those solar arrays there that are kind of in the X shape, and they have to move those constantly, it seems like, through this flight. Obviously, for these maneuvers, what's the position going to be like for those solar panels? Alex, you want to take that?
I am unsure if it's going to be forward or backwards, but for burns, they move the solar arrays. I think for this one will be forwards.
Pretty sure that's what it was in the animations, at least. So
yeah,
I'm not sure how much we should trust NASA animations, considering what we saw yesterday, but that is what it showed in the animation.
What? The ICPS doesn't shoot off at the speed of light when you light the engine?
We finished verification of our onboard targets. They look good.
That's what we like to hear.
Okay,
We were talking earlier.
Looks good as well.
We copy.
We were talking earlier, Ryan. They were doing exercise, which they're finally taking an exercise machine out to the moon. One of the first they're taking with them, along with the toilet. But apparently the solar arrays were shaking while they were exercising.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's essentially it's a flywheel, and they can do exercises like rowing, like literally pulling back and forth on this flywheel exercise machine, and that creates an oscillation. So while they were exercising, testing out this equipment, they actually called down to mission control in Houston, and out of curiosity, are you seeing oscillations on the spacecraft as we use this exercise? And Houston replied, yes, because as they were imparting that motion on the flywheel machine, they were imparting that motion on the spacecraft, which means the spacecraft was wobbling a little bit, and we could see that on the solar arrays as well, which is really quite cool. And yeah, it's just one of those things that you can see on the data. Of course, it's not dangerous, those oscillations. The spacecraft has been designed to cope with this. They wouldn't put an exercise machine in a spacecraft which will rattle it to bits, right? So, but it's just one of those neat things, like you can actually see the astronauts exercising through the telemetry data from the spacecraft.
And Ryan, you've been tracking this part very closely. There was an interesting bit as well last night where they were talking about having to time the waste collection releases because it can actually change the trajectory of the spacecraft. So Morphe is asking the serious question, has the issue with the toilet been solved?
Yes, I'm happy to report within a few hours after launch, they did resolve the toilet issue. The toilet is working. And yeah, that is good news for the Artemis II crew, that they can boldly go where nobody has gone before.
Yes, for those who don't know, this is the farthest a toilet has ever been away from the Earth. This is the first mission with crew going to the moon that actually has a dedicated commode for the crew. So, exciting things here. Also exciting is the amazing support that we've been getting, and we can't do what we do and have all the cameras that we had yesterday and bring all these views to you that we've been having without the support. So we had a bunch of people using tips at tips.nasaspaceflight.com, which we appreciate. It helps us more directly. Wilbo Baggins was saying they were very impressed with NSF and all the previous shows. We appreciate that. Rossi, so emotional. What a beautiful launch. That was amazing yesterday, and we could talk about that. That was gorgeous. Samuel now saying, I want to tell you both good luck. We're all counting on you. Yes, we are, Integrity. For this TLI, we are all counting on you. coming in with 2 of those with the $20 tips. Thank you so much for that. Mark Lamb, thank you for the great coverage of the first moonshot with crew that I've ever seen. I was a toddler the last time this happened. I am so excited. And it's amazing just how many people are experiencing this for the second time. We haven't seen this since the 60s and 70s, and just the number of people that this is their first moonshot, myself included. In fact, everybody who you see on screen, the first time we've been alive for a human moonshot, and that's amazing. Seth McGill, the tips as well. Saying hello from Oklahoma. Mike Haas, thank you for becoming a Pad Rat member. And Chris Bray, here's to the Director's Coffee Fund. Thanks for that great coverage. Yeah, we all still need some of that coffee today after the marathon from yesterday's with the stakeout stream and the launch stream. But wouldn't have traded that for the world. Just Martin, becoming a Capcom member. Capcom and above gets access to the NSF Discord, and if you join at some of the higher levels of support, such as Helvax here, becoming a launch director, you also get your name at the end of the Flame Trench and all of our other NSF live shows, in addition to all of the Discord access, in addition to all of the photos and extra member things that you get with the rest of the memberships. So thank you for that. And yes, the shrew saying to boldly go where no toilet has gone before, because, yeah, you heard Alice's story if you were listening on the stream about Buzz Aldrin being the first one to urinate on the moon and being proud of that. And Dojo saying...
no bags this time. It's an actual proper sanitary device they could use properly, developed from the International Space Station. We are leaving the days of using bags and zipping them up long behind us.
Well, almost, because they did have to use the CCUs, the contingency collapsible urinal. That was what it stood for. So they had to use at least one of those while they were troubleshooting the actual system. Just saying. But they were able to release that into the main system. What they called it last night, what, a donation? Is that what they called it?
I'm not sure, but if they did, that would be pretty funny.
I'm pretty sure, if I remember rightly, I was watching, I think they called it a donation. Which Rick also, with the $5 super chat here, not super chatting urine, thank you. Dojo saying, curious if they recover the side boosters, and if so, how was that done? Alex, this isn't the shuttle days anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, the side boosters, unfortunately, they do not get recovered. They don't recover anything from this rocket, from the rocket itself, and from the spacecraft. Only the capsule ends up re-entering and being recovered at the end of the mission. So, yeah, basically everything is expendable here. We can go into many debates as to why that happened, and the simple answer is that there's a very long list of reasons, and if there's already a long list, you can already imagine that it's very much not even like when you have reasons just in the first place not to reuse them that is longer than the reasons to reuse them. It's probably already the point where you don't even need to discuss them. But yeah, there's here onboard views that NASA uploaded, by the way, just recently. I think it was a couple of hours ago.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen it, this is spectacular. So there's the water deluge system.
Yep, multiple angles as well, by the way.
Ignition of the mains.
Boom.
Booster ignition. Daryl redeeming himself and liftoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird to listen to that and you have Daryl saying booster ignition and it's not booster ignition. It's almost like my brain is being rewritten, like that booster ignition is burned into my brain, and suddenly he said it correctly. It was so weird to hear, but well done, Daryl. We're very proud of you.
There's a point in here when it crosses Mach 1, a little bit before Mach 1 actually. You can see the shock waves appearing on the side of the SRBs from this point of view. Like, start looking here around this point in the video, and you'll see the shock wave.
Everyone hearing there, everything sounds like it is good for that burn. TLI burn now under 20 minutes away. Oh, this is so cool.
Let's see.
There we go.
There you go.
Yep.
Difficult to see from the ground because you don't really see that more if there's, moisture in the air, and it was a very dry day, which was great. So it made it super clear visuals, but yeah, you don't get that crazy vapor cone.
I don't know if we're going to play the whole thing, but I'm going to spoil a little bit.
We're showing DBDT, it's fluctuating, but 0.0129, and as it's still going positive up to 0.005.
Later in the footage, you can see the moon from these.
Copy, Jeremy.
And we're watching the Eclipse cabin leak.
Copy, Jeremy. Jeremy, we see DPDT stable. We want you to continue to monitor. Continue to monitor via procedure number 2.1.0.
Change in the fan speeds just prior to that.
Talking about the life support system.
Copy, Jeremy, and that tracks with our actions here on the ground. We were just changing the ARS state.
So it sounds like they noticed a change in either the air pressure or something with the air inside the capsule.
We will continue to monitor this as well with you in parallel, and we'll keep progressing with the burn.
Yep, equals the environmental control and life support systems. That's part of the European service module.
That's a good
on the back.
feedback, Jeremy. We're following along with you.
This is the first time that it's been used with people on board since Artemis I carried Moonikins, so dummies versus actual people. And it sounds like they're monitoring that, but they also did change the fan speed, something that they can do from the ground, something that the crew indeed asked for at one point yesterday, as they said it was getting a little too cold in the spacecraft. But right now, I believe earlier they read the temperature as 73.1 Fahrenheit.
That's Jared. Look to the right below where it says TLI ignition and the T minus.
No, it's Jared Isaacman, NASA administrator.
Yeah. They changed the.
They all seem to get a really, really early flight to get over to Johnson, because not only is Jared Isaacman there, but Jenny Gibbons, the backup from Canada, is also there. She's sitting at the Capcom station right now. So they must have, right after launch, they must have booked it to JSC.
She probably was able to fly herself all the way there.
Yeah. Which, by the way, the Capcom that you're hearing is Christina Birch. And as you mentioned, next to Christina was Jenny Gibbons, who was the backup for this crew.
Solar panels moving. Have you seen that?
Oh, there we go in the animation. And Jeff Radigan, by the way, is going to be the flight director that is overseeing everything happening currently. Oh yeah, which, by the way, these are the cameras, I believe, that are on those solar panels, which is why you see that moving. They did do a handover just before we went on the air here from the Deep Space Network, like we were talking about, to the Tracking Data Relay Satellite System, which is more for Earth orbit communications versus the DSN, which, as the name implies, is for deep space communications. So, as video is coming as it is, but their main priority right now, so we may not see the greatest video, but the priority is, of course, getting that telemetry back, tracking the spacecraft, tracking
we see a stable cabin pressure. We believe that this is associated with commanding we were doing for ARS, and we will be doing some suspected leak cleanup actions after TLI. For now, we are continuing to press for TLI.
Okay. Crew's feeling good about where we're at right now. That is all tracking, and we are go to continue.
Houston copies. Thanks, Jeremy.
There we go. So it sounds like they're just keeping an eye on that cabin pressure in case there is some kind of small leak, but nothing that would preclude the burn to the moon. We are coming up now under 15 minutes away from TLI, Trans-Lunar Injection, the 5-minute, 50-second burn that will send Integrity and the crew aboard Orion out towards the moon. Let me take a moment, thank some people, and then we'll get back to more of your questions at NASASpaceflight or at NSF. Jerry Brower, so is their waste also going to be on a free return trajectory and thus return to Earth and burn up? Yeah, sorry to break it to you about what some of those shooting stars are that you're seeing. Zalivas with the super chat saying, born too late for Apollo, but just in time for Artemis. What a time to be alive. That is a great way to look at it. Jeff Rowe, thank you for gifting a Red Team membership. Science Bob gifting 10 Red Team memberships. Jerwa, not with a other kind of donation, but with a tip at tips.nasaspaceflight.com, saying making a quote-unquote donation too. And then Flatnick with a $500 tip at tips.nasaspaceflight.com. 500. An appreciation for the enormous amount of time and energy you guys and gals have put down for our nerdy entertainment and enjoyment. Thank you from Norway.
Integrity, maneuver to burn attitude starting in 2 minutes.
Wow. Thank you.
Integrity copies.
And one more here, JJ saying, hi, watching from Israel. Thank you so much for the coverage. Just out of our curiosity, what would be the determining factors for a no-go for TLI if it were to be the case? Thanks again. Can't wait for my badge, flagshot print, and pin to arrive. Nice. So, seems like, of course, they were concerned about cabin leaks and making sure that Integrity has hull integrity. So that sounded like that would be something. But at this point, given what they've said in terms of go for TLI and the fact that they're getting ready to maneuver the spacecraft, orient it in the proper direction so that when they ignite the engines, the spacecraft is pointing the right direction.
Configured for the burn.
All right.
And saws are the solar array wings. So, is there anything that I'm missing there, Alex, that would preclude a TLI at this point?
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, it's just things that will put the crew under risk, right? We got yesterday a lot of questions about, what happens to the crew then? Is there going to be a rescue ship if something happens? And things like that. It was like, no, there's no rescue, right? So that's why you really need to be sure before sending this crew out there. And it is also why in this very first time that there's crew on Orion, they're going into this high Earth orbit where they can return within a matter of basically less than a day, within a few hours, right? Bit more time than, say, when they come back from the ISS, which you can basically come back in less than an hour, basically, right? You just undock, do the orbit burn, and you're back home within less than an hour. But still quite faster than, say, once it goes through this translator injection in about 10 minutes and 50 seconds. Once that burn is complete, they're set, right? They're going to the moon and turn around and everything and doing the free return trajectory that we've been talking about for pretty much the last few months, even as we've been covering Artemis II. And so, yeah, they have some options, as I told before, where, if right after they have any issues, at least at least the first day after the translator injection, if they have any big issue, they still have the opportunity to be able to turn around and come back. But after that, it actually takes more time. If you try to do that sort of thing, it will take you more time to return back to Earth and say, just let gravity do its thing and fling you around the moon and come back, because of how things work. Like, you will be just too far away from Earth to really come back in a meaningful, faster time than, say, just fling around the moon, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, basically same thing that happened to Apollo 13. Rather than use that extra fuel and stuff to turn around, it's quicker to just fly by the moon. That's also part of why this mission is just a flyby rather than an orbit. To have that option to return home, still get tons of amazing science and tons of awesome research and things from it. Speaking of awesome things you can get, don't forget, you can get stuff from our Artemis collection at shop.nasaspaceflight.com, including the NSF Artemis II patch, which I absolutely love. And a certain NASA administrator may or may not have said that they loved the design when I gave them one last night. Just maybe? But yes, expertly designed. If you go on the website, it kind of explains all the color choices and the looks of it. And all of these are actually stitched in a factory. It's really cool to see them made one at a time. It's great. They are in stock and they are shipping right now. So if you want to get one, now is absolutely the time. We normally have the little moon star and the Mars star. We don't need the star. We literally have the the actual moon itself right there. So yeah, that certain NASA administrator that I may or may not rhyme with Schmarad Schmeizigman did in fact say that he has a perfect spot for this on his wall and, quote, "I know who to contact next time when I want a mission patch." So you don't need to be the NASA administrator to get yours. This is now at shop.nasaspaceflight.com, and I believe some
Integrity,
of them are already been shipping
1 minute
out.
left in our maneuver to burn attitude.
There we go.
Okay, we show the same.
There we go. And you can also see all of the amazing different ways that you can get it on shirts, on mugs, and everything. So that's all shop.nasaspaceflight.com. You should go check out the Artemis page that we have on the collection there.
Yeah, I literally got the email notification that my patch is on the way during yesterday's launch stream, so they are very much shipping as we speak.
Yeah. Yeah. So check it out. It's really cool. Anyway,
I will say
under 8 minutes to go now. This is getting exciting.
I will say there's another point, I guess, to make here. So after this burn is complete, so the way that they're burning out, to the moon, and the way that their orbit is oriented is such that after this burn, in about 30 minutes or so, they should be entering into the Earth's shadow. So they're going to have what it's called. Now, they use the word eclipse. It's called an eclipse. They use the word eclipse, but it doesn't mean the regular term that we use for eclipse, right? Of like partial eclipse or total eclipse or things like that. It just happens to mean that they're going to be entering the shadow of the Earth, and it's going to be for about an hour or so. So it could be cool. Maybe we get something from those onboard
Integrity,
cameras.
Orion is in burn attitude.
There we go.
There we go. That's what we like to hear. So they are oriented.
Oh, I can see the little thrusters on the back of the... See there?
So they are oriented in the correct direction so that the engines are ready to fire. They're pointed where they need to go. And of course, where they're going is the moon. Oh, this is getting exciting. 6 minutes to go. There was a question here that was asking from Kate Lindsay, do the astronauts need to put their spacesuits back on for the TLI burn? Ryan, do we know?
I don't think so. I think they're good in their flight suits, just, like their casual wearing of clothes for this burn. But they obviously still have their spacesuits on board. They wear them for launch. I believe they'll also be wearing them for re-entry and splashdown, of course, in the event that something goes wrong during that phase of flight. Of course, that's a really dynamic phase of flight. And as we were talking about at length yesterday, as we can see the solar arrays pointing forwards, they are survival suits. They are designed to be mini spaceships almost to keep the crew alive for extended periods of time should the integrity of Orion Integrity, stealing your pun, is compromised.
I like it. I think we're going to be using that one a couple more times now.
Yeah.
But you can see there is that attitude. You can see the way it's oriented and the numbers and everything. So already at 22,000 miles per hour, and it's about to go even faster. So a reminder for the kind of people that are just joining in now with 5 minutes to go, Alex, what information do we know about this burn? How long is it going to be? I see questions. Do we know how many G's the crew might pull in this?
I was actually doing right now the math on that.
What do you got?
So yeah, it's going to be a 389 meter per second burn. That's the change in the velocity that they're going to experience. And so it's going to be 5 minutes, 50 seconds long. And so you can do a little bit of math there. How much is the average acceleration? And it's only going to be basically about a tenth of the gravity of Earth. Basically, it's not going to be a lot of acceleration. Let's put it very, very simple here, right? It's a very tiny engine, to be fair. It's not a really big engine on that service module, on the European service module, but for 5 minutes, 50 seconds, they're going to feel about a tenth of a G, right? And they're going to be able basically to enjoy a little bit of that acceleration, I guess, for that burn. But yeah, that should be enough to be able to put them in that trajectory all the way to the moon. As I mentioned before, the upper stage of SLS already did like 90% of the work to get them to the moon. This burn is just doing that last 10%, but it's the important one because otherwise you're just in orbit around the Earth, right? Otherwise, you're not going to the moon.
Yeah, that service module engine is quite literally a space shuttle orbiting maneuvering engine. Like, it is literally ripped from Space Shuttle Atlantis. It flew 6 times before on Shuttle Atlantis. They took it off Atlantis after its last flight, and now they're using it on the service module for Orion.
Yeah, and keep in mind, Space Shuttle, for all of its maneuvering, had 2 of them. So, yeah.
Space Shuttle was also a bit bigger, but, you know.
A little larger, a little heavier. Yeah, just a bit. Not a capsule also. So, we are now 3 minutes away. I don't know about anybody else. I don't know about you guys with me. I don't know anybody in chat. Anyone else getting a little nervous at this point now? Getting the heart racing?
Yeah, I'm not getting nervous, but I am getting excited because, as I said at the top of the stream, like, before the launch, they can scrub. They're not going to the moon. Before TLI, they can come back to Earth in a hurry if they need to. Once they conduct this TLI burn, they're going to the moon. Like, if it isn't already real, that's when it becomes extra super duper real. Like, that the spacecraft's trajectory intersects the moon's sphere of influence.
Yep, they should be arriving that sphere lunar, the lunar sphere of influence about 102 hours into the mission. So you can do a little bit of math there. That should be around midnight Eastern on April 6th. A little bit after midnight.
The last time a human has been aboard a spacecraft performing a translunar injection was Apollo 17 in December of 1972. On this day, April 2nd, 2026, we are finally going to see it happen again. The drought of people going to the moon is finally about to end, and hopefully this is the first of many. A reminder, on board you have Commander Reed Weissman, you have pilot Victor Glover, and mission specialist Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen, Jeremy, a Canadian astronaut. So Christina, the first woman to head to the moon, Jeremy, the first Canadian, Victor, the first African American, and Reed is just a cool guy. So, oh boy,
there's the Earth.
So there it is. Oh man,
and this is really incredible because you can see now how close they are to the Earth. Yeah, and you know, just a few hours ago, they were 70,000 kilometers above the Earth's surface. Now they are within the vicinity of low Earth orbit. Like, they are really diving in low here as they pick up speed and kind of slingshot around the Earth as they are 50 seconds away from lighting that repurposed OMS engine and going to the moon.
And this is why they do it at this lowest point, because the apogee, the highest point in the orbit, it's already pretty far out, so might as well just extend it a little further, and that will take you out towards the moon.
And during the
30
burn,
seconds to go.
At the start of the burn, there'll be about 115 miles, 185 kilometers in altitude from the Earth.
So surprisingly close, given that they've been thousands away at this point, or over 1,000. 15 seconds to go. Stand by for ignition of the European Service Module
injection burn start.
And TLI. Here we go.
Getting a wobble from the cameras.
Yep. Cameras are on the solar
that
panels.
engine fired up.
Integrity, good engine, good control.
Here we go. TLI is underway.
We show the same. Feels great up here.
At MET, mission elapsed time of 1 day, 1 hour, and 14 minutes into the Artemis II mission. As Orion was flying 115 statute miles above Earth and 247,600 miles away from the moon, we have the start of the translunar injection burn that will send the crew around the moon, the first humans to do so in over 50 years.
Amazing. And this is a 5-minute, 50-second duration burn.
Looks like the signal may be a little bit sketchy during the burn.
Second burn on the orbital maneuvering service engine, part of the European Service Module.
Look at the Earth there. It looks like it's about a frame a
Going
second,
to
but
hear good calls here from Prop in Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas.
Integrity looking good.
that's what we like to hear.
Integrity copies.
Minute and a half-ish into the burn. And from the sounds of it there, everything looking good. Minute 45 and 5 minute 50 seconds. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah.
Velocity of the spacecraft ticking up, now over 23,900 miles per hour.
That's good. I was going to say that some of the comms may be shaky because this burn is being done obviously in the direction that it needs to be performed and
2
not
minutes into this
necessarily
5 minute and 50 second burn.
There you go. Not necessarily,
Continuing
you
to
know,
get
in
good
the
calls
optimal
here
one
in Mission Control Houston from all flight controllers.
for good
Integrity, we copy
communications.
the enabled caution, no crew action.
Okay, integrity copies.
There we go. The caution and warning system that pops up.
Crew did
Seems like
receive a
nothing to
caution
worry
on
about.
their screen and have no action at this time. We continue to burn the translunar injection burn.
There we go.
I mean, we've seen those pop up during this mission for minor things like a fan speed, so
yep,
not a major deal. It sounds like whatever this caution was. About 3 minutes now
Integrity,
into the burn.
Similar caution, no crew action.
Integrity copies.
That's what we want to hear. So even those are popping up.
Over 3 minutes now.
Not
into the
anything for us to
translunar
worry about.
injection burn.
Whew.
About
These live views
a
coming
minute and a
from
half-ish
Orion
to go.
as it looks back on Earth, leaving high Earth orbit and beginning its journey to the moon. We are now 230 miles above Earth, 246,500 miles away from the moon.
And we're talking the crew will be going speeds of over 25,000, or approximately 25,000 miles per hour.
Time, MET, mission elapsed time, 1 day, 1 hour and 14 minutes. We are targeting a 5 minute and 50 second burn. We've just hit the 4 minute mark into the burn. Quiet here in Mission Control Houston as flight controllers continue monitoring all systems. Everything looking good.
That's what we want to hear. Oh my goodness. So far, so good.
It's impossible not to feel completely overwhelmed.
I know.
This is incredible.
At this point, about a minute 20 seconds to go.
Yeah, this is the closest the crew will be from Earth until they reach entry interface on flight day 9. Flight day 10. They're going really far away, guys.
Yeah. Yep. So, little over, between about 8 and 9 days from now, the crew will be back. But until then, at this point, they are just about
We have 1 minute left
fully
in the
lunar
translunar
bound.
injection burn. Everything continuing to look good. Again, these live views coming to you from Orion as it looks back on Earth and begins its journey to the moon.
Well, we were getting those live views.
Yeah.
A live look inside Mission Control Houston. Flight Director Jeff Radigan monitoring all of the Orbit 1 teams.
That is Jeff,
NASA
by the way, that was on the
Administrator
right
Isaac
there.
Mann has also joined us in the room to monitor the translunar injection burn. We have less than 20 seconds left of this burn. This is the final major
The
burn.
Capcom, by the way, is that you'll
mission.
hear confirm it. Hopefully, it's
Because
Christina
this
Birch.
also serves as our deorbit burn.
Integrity looks like a good burn. We're confirming.
Confirmation from teams here on the ground to the Artemis II crew aboard Orion. We have translunar injection burn cutoff and early reports that it was a very good burn.
And there we go. That's the early confirmation that the numbers looked good. The crew is now bound for the moon. This is history in the making. It has been more than 50 years since this has happened. And now, in just about 3 or 4 days from now, this crew will be on the far side of the moon. Someone help, I'm speechless.
This is crazy. This is crazy. Yeah, I mean, again, something has just flicked in the back of my brain. We have a 4-person crew headed to the moon. We have a 4-person crew on course to intersect the lunar environment. This has not happened for 53 and a bit years. This has not happened since, you know, the age of analog dials and film cameras, and we are getting live imagery from the service module of the Orion spacecraft.
Which we didn't get from Apollo. Let's be clear here as well.
Yeah, a lot of the footage that we see from Apollo was either brought back with the crew or the onboard ones were jettisoned in small capsules with parachutes that were then recovered by crews to get the physical film from it. So that's the famous, where it looks like it's from Apollo 11 of the stage separation, but actually Apollo 4. That's how that footage returned. It was jettisoned in a small capsule and parachuted back to Earth.
Yeah.
And again, now Integrity on its way.
And just like then, there's a lot of this footage is being downlinked, right? And it's going to be saved at an even higher rate. We were seeing before those replays, those onboard shots of launch from yesterday, right? Those were amazing, and those are up there. NASA is uploading them as they can, right? As fast as they can. And that's the key here. Like, we at least see something live, which is very important. We did not have that pleasure and that privilege during the Apollo era. And so it's quite a difference, right? And yes, it's not super duper high definition. It might be low frame rate and things like that. But all of the high definition, all of the high frame rate and everything is being uploaded after the fact, like many hours after that, once it's all downlinked and everything, because it takes time, right? And after all, the telemetry takes priority beyond all of the, obviously, telemetry and voice takes priority beyond all of the video and things like that. But yeah, so hopefully in a few hours, maybe we get all of this footage uploaded. Who knows? And also the pictures that the crew will take, and they'll return back to Earth and send them and putting them up on NASA's website and things like that. We'll probably talk about those for years, probably.
By the way, I see people confused about the Apollo thing. I was talking about the one on Apollo 4, the early one. Yes, while the crew was up there, they were able to beam back live video. That's how we got live video from the cruise. Yeah. That's how we got live video from the surface of the moon. I was just talking about the original Apollo 4 footage that we see in all the movies where it looks like it's Apollo 11. That's the one from Apollo 4 that they did that way. Just want to clarify because I see people talking about that.
Yeah. And it got better. Like, look, to be fair to Apollo, they also got better with their live streaming, I guess, from the moon as they went into the mission. For example, I think it was Apollo 15 where they were able to live stream the docking of the lunar module to the command and service module after they lifted out from the moon. Like, there were things, of course, that were live streamed, but early on, it got actually was basically animations on news TVs and things like that, on news, basically that sort of thing, right? And so we are really privileged to be in the era that we live now, and they'll get better.
By the way, yes,
same way.
Oh yeah, And by the way, clear up the confusion. I was talking about the footage that you see from what looks like Apollo 11 is Apollo 4. I'm not talking about Apollo 7, which was a crewed mission. I was talking about Apollo 4, which was an uncrewed flight of the Saturn V. That's where that footage comes from. What I'm saying is to see footage from outside of the spacecraft doing a burn, that was what they used for Apollo 4. This is what we are using for Artemis II. End of discussion.
We just wanted to share a little bit of the sentiment up here as we came around the planet, and we're zooming over just 100 nautical miles above it, if you got a moment.
Please, Jeremy, we are all ears.
Well, with that successful TLI, the crew's feeling pretty good up here on our way to the moon, and we just wanted to communicate to everyone around the planet who's worked to make Artemis possible that we firmly felt the power of your perseverance during every second of that burn. Humanity has once again shown what we are capable of, and it's your hopes for the future that carry us now on this journey around the moon.
Thank you for those words.
That is so cool. Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it.
You know, I know we always talk about records and things like that. One of the things that excites me about Artemis, especially with the promise of having a permanent moon base and things like that, few years in the future, right? They just also hugged each other. But yeah, the fact that it's not 3 people now, it's 4 people going back to the moon. You can do more things. It's essentially a quarter more work that you can do. And
2 minutes until a TDRS West to TDRS East handover.
Integrity copies.
Talking about the handover between different communication satellites. But yeah, one of the important things is that with 4 people, you can, for example, set up shifts when you land on the moon to have 2 people on the lunar surface, and when they come back, the other 2 come out, for example, which gives you a lot more to be able to work with and do on the surface of the moon once they get there to that point, right? Which hopefully will be 2 missions from now. And I know the whole of the records and everything seems probably very silly, but it's 4 people. It's the most people that are now going to the moon for the first time, right? It's like every single time we count how many people are in space, right? Oh, we broke the record for how many people there are on the station, or between the ISS and Tiangong, and all of these different records and everything. But now it's like moonbound population 4. That's the first time, right? It's like, that's exciting because that number is going to increase very, very soon, right? It's gonna there's gonna be more people going out there very soon, and it's just the start, basically.
I can't wait for that when we get lunar bases and things like that. Oh, it's exciting. Let me take a moment here and thank some people really quick. There's a lot of support that came in during TLI, and we are very appreciative of that. The Rubicon, 53 years, 3 months, and 26 days since the last time Houston said go for TLI Burn. I've waited all my life for that go, no go. Beautiful. Well said. LK, thank you for becoming a PadRat member, along with Amanda's becoming a PadRat member. Eclectic Llama with a $100 tip at tips.nasaspaceflight.com. Goodness gracious, thank you for all of the support, everybody. We appreciate it. We're honored to share history with you all. Saying thank you for all your amazing coverage. Let's go Artemis. Fares on the rise, pointing out what Capcom also mentioned at that point. This is also the re-entry burn. And Ryan, I know it's weird when we say it like that, but what do they mean that this is also the re-entry burn?
We mean that this trajectory, even though it intersects the lunar sphere of influence, is such that it will intersect the Earth's atmosphere as well, meaning that when they fly all the way out to the moon, loop around and come back following just this
Houston
burn,
Integrity,
they'll
our
be able to...
HC stow is complete.
Patiently waiting?
You know what's going to happen if we start talking.
Yeah, that's why I'm
keep
worried.
going.
Okay.
Integrity, we copied. RHC stow is complete on Tidris East.
Classic.
Great, comm check. Houston Integrity, we have lost DU2. It appears it may be power cycling with a DAC message of DU2 comm fail.
I'll answer this question eventually.
Oh, look, DU2 is downlink, uplink.
Integrity, we copy. We saw that enunciated caution, toggle in and out of alarm. Your go to try and power it up.
And Houston, it was in a power cycle after going down, and it has come back up. We are going to go ahead and understand the prop cautions are no action. They are recurring and going away a few seconds later. We'll stand by for any other troubleshooting words on DU2, but so far it looks like it's nominal.
Thanks, Christina. Good news on DU2. No further actions for you on DU2 reconfig. We'll do any other backside stuff on the ground, and we are taking a look at that prop caution as well.
Copy y'all, and copy also the good comm check on Tidris.
I believe DU might be one of the display units, excuse me, as I'm looking it up at the moment.
Yes, Christina, good comm check on Tidris East. And to let you know, we are complete with our post-burn reconfig.
Copy all.
I think, Ryan, we're safe to go back to that answer.
I'm still nervous.
You never know.
Yeah. We've had a good time here, so probably. Okay, I'm going to risk it, but yeah. The burn sets the Orion up on a trajectory, which puts it obviously intersecting the lunar sphere of influence. Thank you, Jay, for the graphic. Jay Keegan producing the show. But that also, when they swing around the moon, that means they're going to be intersecting Earth's atmosphere back on the other side of that trajectory. So there could be the need for some refinement burns. There's 3 of them scheduled on the way out and 3 of them scheduled on the way back. But if they don't need those refinement burns, then they can forego them. So there's a good chance that this burn sets them up for deorbit via the moon, which is cool how that sort of trajectory works out there. It's pretty neat.
That is really cool. So yes, that's why they said it is the translunar injection and also the deorbit burn. James God gifting 20 Red Team memberships. Thank you so much for that. And then Juan David also gifting 20, and Science Bob gifting 20 Red Team memberships. If you got one of those gifted memberships, please make sure to give them a thank you. We very much appreciate it. There's some awesome member perks that come with it. See some of the launch photos that Max and I and the team have been putting together in the member section. There's some great stuff that comes along with that. And the members were also the ones that got early access to the NSF Artemis II patch, which you can get yourself at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. They are really awesome. They're super high quality. It's one of my favorite designs we've ever made. I want this in all of the merch, and we have it in all of the merch, but the patch quality, so nice. They're really well stitched together. They hold up. It's great. And the design is spectacular. And don't forget, you can get them right now. They are shipping as we speak, so you can get them quick. And like we said, all the things we're talking mugs,
we are maneuvering
shirts,
to the
baby
Earth-steering
onesies.
attitude.
Copy and thank you.
We also have the sun shirts that are approved by our crew out in the field, and I can confirm our crew was wearing these sun shirts yesterday during our coverage, running around behind the scenes. Jerry wearing that exact blue one, and it looked awesome. So, yes, there you go. See, crew approved. That's the one Jerry was wearing yesterday at the Cape. Max, I believe, had his orange one on. That's at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. You should absolutely go check it out. Also, I'm being told there's a surprising number of baby onesies that have actually been sold. So, apparently a popular product. You should definitely go check it out. Make sure that your baby knows they are officially now part of the Artemis generation. James saying, my fellow Terrans, humanity is now officially on their way back to the moon with a $50 super chat. Thank you so much for that. It is official now. We are going. You know, wasn't that like the whole big NASA thing is we are going. We are going. Yeah, eventually. No. With this burn, we are going. It is happening now. We are going back to the moon, and hopefully to stay.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, there's no going back now. You know, as I've said many times, before launch, they can scrub. They're not actually going, right? And then before the TLI burn, they're just in Earth orbit. They can come home right away. They've done the burn. Their trajectory is sending them out. Like, they have the momentum. They have the velocity. They're going to be at the moon. There's nothing that can stop them now. They're going to the moon regardless of what happens. And this is fantastic.
Integrity. We have completed the cleanup steps from our leak suspected warning. That has cleared the board. We've reset fitter, and so now we'll be able to detect any changes per our nominal config.
That's great news, Houston. Thank you.
All right, so it sounds like they've configured the spacecraft so that they can go back to observing the Earth in its configuration. And then also, as you heard there, they had what sounded like a leak warning as they were getting ready to do the TLI just beforehand. So they've cleared all of that. They've rearranged the system back to how it was. And now they will continue to monitor to see if the leak rate steadies out, if there is any, or if there isn't any. Sounder is saying hashtag #FeelSoMoon. I like that. Manson with a $100 super chat as well. Wow. Thank you everyone for this. We do our best to bring you as much as we can here. All of our cameras, all of our people. Obviously, we don't have any cameras on Artemis, but we're happy to bring this to you along with our...
To Tidris East to DSN handover.
See you on the other side.
And that'll mean the crew switching from the TDRS network, the Tracking Data Relay Satellite System Network, which is for Earth-bound spacecraft, and the DSN is for anything leaving the Earth, Deep Space Network. So that's what they'll be talking through next. Oh, that's awesome. But yeah, saying this burn represents a lot of people who have invested their time, lives, careers, and energy. We are built on the shoulders of giants. We can do this. Go NASA. Yes. Which, by the way, if you didn't know, talking about all the support, we do have our 24/7 Artemis coverage, or should I say 24/10, 24 hours a day until the end of the mission 10 days after launch. So you can check that out at any time. Leave that up on your second monitor while you're doing your work. Follow the entire mission live, and we'll pop in and give you some occasional updates on everything happening. Base player, hopefully no one deletes the footage this time. Yes, I'm not going to get into whole rabbit holes, but yes, taping over footage was a thing. Flat Nickel, we just need SpaceX to put a little constellation around the moon before we go next, and we'll be all good. Hey, if we're going to the moon more regularly. Yeah, if we're going to the moon more regularly, then we'll get that lunar communications network. And like you were just saying, Alex, it's a plan.
Yeah, NASA has been planning for that for a while. It's just that, for these first few missions, it's not really that much needed, right? They can already do the mission without really needing anything extra. But when you do go to the moon to stay and have a moon base and everything, that network will be already up there. They already have launch contracts and the likes to be able to launch at least the early sort of demonstration and sort of network systems, right, that are needed for this. China has their own relay satellite, right? But that was only used for the robotic lunar landing missions on the far side of the moon. In the future, they'll probably also have their own network. And so, all of these things are being planned and developed with that idea of in the future having a communications network on the moon.
And you can see now this is a look at DSN Now, which is NASA's eyes on the solar system. So basically showing which satellites are communicating which spacecraft. So you've got things like Voyager, the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. And if you look on Madrid, all the way on the far right, you see ART-2. That is Artemis II, meaning that they are now communicating, or at least getting data, it looks like, down from Artemis II. You'll see some of them are going two ways. I believe the two-way is when it's sending and receiving. Right now it looks like it is receiving that data from Artemis II through the satellite in Madrid at a whopping 2 megabits per second downlink speed. And we wonder why the video quality was rough.
Some people were asking... oh, go ahead, Ryan.
I was just going to say, we can see Madrid currently has two dishes, 54 and 56, assigned to Artemis II. Dish 54 is doing downlink and uplink, and dish 56 is doing downlink. And then when Artemis II travels around to the other side of the planet, the Canberra station has dish 43
Integrity,
and 34
Houston,
on standby.
check on OE1 on DSN Madrid.
We have you loud and clear.
Copy, we have you the same.
All right. And there we
We
go.
are getting just a beautiful view of the dark side of the Earth right now, lit by the moon.
Oh.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. They are currently in Earth's shadow.
That sounds amazing. We hope you're taking some pictures for us.
Yeah,
So
none
this
of
is
us
what
can get to lunch because we're glued to the window. We're taking pictures. Reed said he just can't take it anymore.
That tracks. Thanks, Integrity.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome. Yeah. Can't eat your lunch, too busy staring at the Earth. That's amazing. I can't wait until we actually get more than 2 megabits per second. We'd be able to see the pictures and videos coming from it. But I guess the question while we're talking about it is, let's take a look at where Orion actually is around the Earth, because I saw people saying, wait, is the velocity decreasing? Things like that. So where are they right now?
Yeah, so the whole reason they're actually talking to Madrid is because, as you can see, they will not be able to talk to Goldstone. They only see right now, you can see there on the top center, I guess, Spain there. That's where the Madrid antenna is. So right now they are on the Earth shadow side of the globe. When they did that translunar injection burn, they were closer, of course, and they were sort of around above the United States, Mexico, and whatnot. But now they're well beyond that, and they're getting further away. As they go out, the Earth will rotate, and it rotates. I got it correctly yesterday, because it rotates to the east. Therefore, they're going to probably go to Goldstone in California, and then go to Canberra in Australia. And so that's basically what we probably will expect for the next day or so. And, once again, it'll come back to Madrid, and then Goldstone, etc., etc. It's just going to be very much like that, until they go around the moon and they enter a loss of signal, a planned loss of signal, because the moon is going to be in the way.
Yeah, minor detail.
Just minor detail, yeah.
And just so you're aware, there is supposed to be a post-TLI briefing coming up. So we are going to continue to stick around and wait until we hear that briefing, get the updates on how the mission's going so far, on what happened with the TLI, make sure everything looks and seems good, and the history in the making. Because, Ryan, we've had a few minor issues on this flight. Of course, we talked about the toilet earlier, which they have since resolved, but we saw other little fun things pop up, more human things, I guess we can say, more earthly things, right?
Yeah, so one of the things that is probably the most relatable is that they were on their Microsoft tablets that they have. They were trying to access Outlook, the email program, but they came on the loop and they said, "There's 2 Outlook programs on my tablet here. Neither of them will open." So that was fun. Houston remoted in and tried to resolve that issue, which was pretty humorous. And then, if you remember all the way back to the classic no SD GoPro moment on the International Space Station spacewalk from many years ago at this point, something similar just happened a few hours ago, just before we came on air with Jeremy Hansen. He was trying to configure a couple of 360 GoPros, and he couldn't figure out, the settings kept getting reset every time he'd load up the camera. So he was communicating with mission control to try and figure out how/why, trying to make sure that the settings don't reset every time he wants to use the camera. And, you know, an interesting thing, they have a couple of them on board, and the first one, Houston thinks it could have been hit by a radiation trying to, like, glitching its settings or something. So they're giving it a go with the second one. So it'll be interesting to see if we hear anything out of that, or if it's just the cameras being GoPros.
Yeah, and the other thing, this is a reminder for everyone, when you are in a public setting, to be careful of who you show your screens to, because there was also, I'm sure you've seen it on social media around, that while Reed Weissman was unlocking his tablet, his passcode to get into it was visible. So Reed, when you come back to Earth, you're going to have to change your code. Just fair warning.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to be stealing his tablet anytime soon. He's got a week or so to change his password.
Yeah, if you can go up and manage to grab his tablet from him while he's around the moon, all the power to you, but I don't think that's going to be happening. But it's kind of fun just hearing these little human moments that all of us can kind of relate to. Of, yes, these are astronauts. Yes, these are 4 brave people who are doing something that hasn't been done in a long time and are risking their lives for it. But they're humans like you and us. You know, they have their little minor technical issues. And this is also, you know, the biggest amount of technology we're sending away from the moon, away from the Earth out to the moon here. So, kind of fun. And thankfully, they're nothing serious. They're just these little things with the cameras. Let's see here. Let me thank some people and we'll get back to more of your questions here. Again, at NASASpaceflight, at NSF, helps us see it in our software here. JW saying your coverage has eclipsed Walter Cronkite. I don't think that's ever possible, but appreciate the kind words. Walter Cronkite taking off his glasses in stunned silence after the Apollo 11 moon landing is still ingrained in my brain and something that I strive to do here. So, thank you.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, thank you, but that's quite. Meh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see myself like that, to be honest.
No. I don't think that Walter Cronkite would be making as many puns as we do. Just saying. Aramillion, they need a t-shirt that says, "I went to space and deorbited via the moon." I like it. Here's a good question, and this is actually one of the demonstrations that they'll be doing during the mission. Keith Jean is asking, Alex, how do they protect themselves from large CMEs, coronal mass ejections from the sun?
Yeah, so that is indeed one of the test objectives, I guess, or one of the very little testings that they're doing in this mission, right? One of the things, because I've been writing as well, the piece about Artemis II for This Week in Spaceflight, at least this part that we're talking about now. Oh, look at that!
There's Orion.
I have to interrupt that because I saw the Orion. You could see the NASA logo. They're clearly in an eclipse right now. There we go. More views.
You see the N. You see it's part of the worm.
It's sort of like switching between views. But yeah, and so of the many little things that they're doing, one of the things they're going to be doing, especially in the
It's now been
inbound
1 day, 1 hour and 50 minutes since liftoff of the Artemis II mission.
Now I can understand you, Ryan.
Yeah, the interruptions. Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, but they have this experiment where they're going to be establishing basically this whole radiation protection shielding, I guess, that they have, right? Basically, there we go. They can configure the cabin in the case of a coronal mass ejection, right? It takes a few hours up to even a day or more, depending on how fast or how slow that is. So there's enough time for them to be able to prepare the cabin for such a thing. And they will be using essentially the actual items that they have. They have like a sort of second rack or something like that, like a second place for them to be able to hide, and they will be able to cover themselves in all of these different material consumables and things like that, from water bags and different materials that they have already inside the capsule. And that is one of the most important things because, you know, Apollo missions, they went all the way to the moon. They also had all the shielding and everything, right? They also had their own procedures. But this is a new capsule. This is a new set of missions, right? And in the future, there are also going to be procedures for how to configure a cabin when instead of Orion, it's some kind of Mars transporter vehicle or something like that, right? In the future, there's going to be such a thing, right? There's going to be, maybe instead of Mars, it's going to be some other distant object that we're traveling to. And so you need to configure the whole thing to be able to be protected against those things. And so it's very important, of course, to be able to train. It's just one step of the many steps that are going to be leading to those many future missions, of course. But yeah. And by the way, that I have here sort of the little timings. That radiation shielding deployment demonstration will actually be after the lunar flyby, so after they go around the moon, and that should be about 2 days after, actually. Yeah, flight day 8. It's gonna be. So I have the timeline here.
Still to come. And again, over on our Artemis 2410 stream. It's got kind of what's coming up next as well up in the corner there to keep an eye on. Because I've been seeing some support that's been coming in over on the 24 feed, the Artemis feed there. Doesn't pop up in the software here, but just want to acknowledge everyone that's been over there as well. True North with the 80 Australian over there. Jeff, Pascal, Bing Bong, thank you all. Euro Jordy, Ember Queed. Already someone over there saying they're on their way to steal the tablet he is done for. Nate, becoming a launch director member, one of the highest levels of support here at NSF. Thank you, and look for your name coming up at the end of the Flame Trench and our NSF live shows, in addition to hopefully hopping on in the Discord with us there. Gamwise, is someone... All right, we'll talk about that another time. Thank you for the support. Bob Davis, thank you as well for the support. Cygnus, becoming a Red Team member. Bob Davis saying, to the moon, da moon. Tonight, we steal the moon. This is a good question. You're kind of looking at the timeline there, but Alex, now what? What events do we have to look forward to before they get to the moon in a few days?
Yeah, so during the outbound cruise all the way to the moon, they have a few tasks, and the most important one, if you can believe it, is just actually living on Orion, right? Like, they are living in Orion, they're relaying, you know, different feedback about the toilet, how it works, right? They're also having another manual demonstration of the control capabilities of Orion. So Victor Glover will also be doing a bit of a test drive on that outbound cruise. Also on the inbound cruise when Orion returns from the moon. So yeah, there's going to be a few things that they're going to be doing during that trajectory. But the most important, I should say again, it's that part of just living inside of Orion and telling the ground, hey, this, or like cabin temperatures and this fan, it bothers me, or please, like, can we turn this? Like yesterday, for example, after all of that different testing and everything that they did before, after they separated from the ICPS, they sort of went into more of a normal timeline, right? And they were preparing for sleep, and they were telling the ground, hey, can we turn off this fan or like slow it down a little bit? It's too loud. It's too cold inside the cabin, right? All of those little things are really important for the future when people are living in that capsule, right? Also going to the moon. And they're sort of basically the guinea pigs just to make sure that everything works to plan and that, you know, they develop all of these different methods and different flight plans for future missions.
Sorry about that. Just wanted to make sure you didn't hear all my annoying typing and drinking sounds
So
here. But
you're
yes.
muted.
Yeah. I was having a handover from Tidris East to Tidris West. But yes. So, sorry. Like I was saying is, I don't even remember what I was saying at that point. Let's keep going here, because my brain has stopped working. Thankfully, I was talking about how this is all about learning, like you were saying. They discovered earlier that as they were using the exercise machine, hey, it turns out it's shaking the spacecraft a little bit.
Yeah.
So
all of
these
those
are the things they're learning.
Yep. And this is the first time as well, you know, that they have, again, it really seems like something silly, but it's rather important to be comfortable in that capsule. And it's the first time they have a toilet going all the way to the moon, right? And you know, that's the kind of thing that you really need and want in order to be able to be comfortable. Apollo did not have that pleasure, that privilege, right? And so it's really important to give feedback on ways to improve that in the future.
Yeah, that way when you get to the Artemis II mission, which it sounds like is going to be even longer duration in orbit around the Earth as they work on rendezvousing and docking with lander or landers, depending on what's ready in Earth orbit. And then, of course, the long duration mission where they'll actually head out to the moon, land on the moon, come back, and all of that. So all of these things worked out now while they still have that free return trajectory. Pat Monfett with a $140 Canadian super chat saying, Team NSF, you are making this already incredible moon mission even greater. Thanks. Good luck to Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy. What a time to be alive. Isn't that the truth? The person who said it earlier had it best there, of too young for the Apollo era, but right on time for the Artemis era. I love it. Here's one. Eclectic Llama is asking, can you talk a little bit about the velocity change? This sounds like an Alex question here. After TLI, I didn't expect to see speed decreasing. Does it stabilize over time, or will they speed up again as they enter the lunar sphere of influence?
Yeah, so little quick orbital mechanics, I guess. Just like when you throw something right in the air, it arches, it does this sort of parabolic trajectory and everything. When you throw something, you give it an initial velocity, but as soon as it leaves your hand, it starts slowing down because there's a gravity acting on it, right? It starts slowing down, it reaches a peak in its trajectory, and then it comes back down and it speeds up, right? Everything that falls down eventually, it picks up velocity. And so very similar thing happens in an orbit. It doesn't really change just because, you know, you're in orbit. Gravity works the same way, right? And so when you're going out there, as you move away from Earth, you still have gravity pulling on you. So yes, they got a bit of that extra velocity with that burn, right? They were able to increase their speed, but as soon as that burn ended, gravity is still pulling on that vehicle, on that spacecraft, and so they're slowing down. However, their inertia, basically the amount of speed that they have, will not decrease all the way to zero, because there's going to be a point where they're going to be close to the moon, and now the moon is starting to pull them the other way. And so that's what the moon will be able to do, which will be able to change the trajectory in such a way that when it is pulling, I don't know if we can maybe use the trajectory graphic that Ryan made, but basically to visualize it, it's just that the way that the moon encounters, or rather the spacecraft encounters the moon, it sort of flies from the front. And so that
I'm going to interrupt you for a second, Alex, here.
Yes.
because we have a press conference that is just about to start here from Houston, going over everything so far on the mission with some of the heads up, down
10
in
seconds.
mission control.
Can I take 10 seconds? When it tugs the spacecraft, it tugs in the direction that you want in order to be able to turn around, and then Earth's gravity does the rest of the work. So there you go. It drops that velocity because Earth's gravity is working on it.
There we go. And we will drop in to this press conference, listen in to what they have to say, and of course we will check in with all of you afterwards. So at this point we will hand it over to NASA Public Affairs, and let's go ahead and listen in. And of course, go Artemis II after a successful trans-lunar injection burn just a short time ago. Let's go.
Here we go.
Good evening and welcome to NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, and welcome to our Artemis II status update. I'm Rachel Kraft with NASA Communications, and I'm joined by several NASA managers this evening to talk about our recent trans-lunar injection burn to send 4 astronauts on the Artemis II mission to the moon, and about how the test flight is going overall. They are Dr. Lori Glaze, who leads NASA's Artemis program, Judd Freeling, Ascent Flight Director for the mission, and Howard Hugh, Orion Program Manager. We'll have some opening remarks and then take questions both from reporters here in the room and on the phone. And those of you who are joining us by phone can press *1 to get into the question queue. And with that, we'll start with Lori.
Great. Thank you, Rachel. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited to be able to tell you that for the first time since 1972, during Apollo 17, human beings have left Earth orbit. With Artemis II's successful 5-minute and 50-second trans-lunar injection burn this evening, our 4 crew members, NASA astronauts Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Canadian astronaut Jeremy Hansen, are now on their trajectory toward the moon. The burn was executed by our flight operations team here in Houston, and it was flawless. The burn was the last major firing of this mission. From this point forward, the laws of orbital mechanics are going to carry our crew to the moon, around the far side, and back to Earth. Our crew is healthy, and our spacecraft is performing really well. After we've had a series of checkouts since launch, and again, everything really performing pretty well. And we are on the path that we designed for this mission. But just a reminder, again, you can hear us keep saying it over and over again, this is still a test flight. We are getting, and we're going to continue to get, lots of new data every day, important information as we continue learning how we're going to operate this Orion spacecraft in the actual space environment. And I'll tell you, we're already learning a lot as we go. We've encountered several things along the way. We're not really tracking anything right now that's of concern, but anything that we've encountered since we've launched was brought to our mission management team today and discussed, and the satisfactory path forward on every case, and a unanimous decision to proceed forward with the go for the trans-lunar injection burn. So you'll hear a little bit more about some of that here in a minute, all the things that we've been doing. Just a reminder, we got 8 days of work ahead, and we intend to learn as much as we can, everything that we can that this vehicle can teach us. And with that, let's see, before I do that, we had a couple images we wanted to share. Let's see if we can pull some of those up. I wanted to share one of my favorite images. This one I saw last night. Actually, I was getting onto the plane to fly here from Florida. This one popped up, and I just absolutely love this one. Looking out the window, you can see the solar array wing there and the OMS engine from the Orion spacecraft, and then you can see Earth's crescent in the back. I just thought it was absolutely gorgeous with our crew members being able to see out the window there and get that photo. It's just absolutely beautiful. And then the second image I wanted to show you, you'll hear a lot more from Howard about the proximity operations demonstration that was conducted yesterday evening. And let's see, is that one going to come up?
It's coming back.
It's coming back. There it is. And in this image, you can see Victor Glover on the left there. He was using the manual controls to maneuver the spacecraft. And then Reed Wiseman on the right there was calling out the commands. So it was really, I hope some of you got a chance to watch that. I was riveted. It was absolutely spectacular to hear Victor's narration of the whole activity. So super cool. So with all of that, I am going to hand it over to Judd, and he can talk us through some of the technical details about the flight so far.
All right. Thanks, Lori. It's been a great couple of days to be in the space business. Yesterday, SLS put us right on the money during ascent. We started with some checkouts by the crew from both the water dispenser and the toilet. Those were successful. And ICPS then burned us with our perigee raise maneuver, got us in a stable orbit. We did have a brief comm outage that was due to a ground issue that we have now rectified, and we understand that's not going to be a problem henceforth. And then, let's see, the ICPS then gave us a great amount of energy, put us in high Earth orbit with the apogee raise burn, again, right down the money. So really happy with that burn. After that, as Lori mentioned, Victor did the ProxOps demonstration, gave us a lot of great feedback on how the vehicle responds in preparation for future rendezvous operations. So very valuable data. We also checked out all of the carbon dioxide scrubbers. All 3 beds successfully checked out, and CO2 is doing great in the vehicle. We did, once we were done with the ProxOps demonstration, the ICPS on its own did the automatic deploy of the 4 CubeSats, and then also ICPS did its disposal burn, and so that all went well. In the middle of the crew sleep, we also had them wake up and do the perigee raise burn, and that was 100% successful. Got us again back into a stable orbit, raised our perigee to about 100 nautical miles. So we're happy with that performance as well. This morning, the crew woke up. They had a conference with the flight control team and our lead flight director, Jeff Radigan. Went over some details of anything that they had, changes to the timeline, which were minimal. They did an exercise test of the flywheel. That was successful. Reed reported that it was exactly like training. His arms are really tired, and he got a great cardio workout. So we took some samples of what the carbon dioxide was while we were doing exercise, and that was all great as well. And of course, just a little under an hour ago, we did the translunar injection, which sets us up for the free return around the moon, and also for splashdown in San Diego. So with that, I'll hand it over to Howard to give you some more details on the Orion.
All right, thanks, Judd. Really excited to be here. Wow, what a great 2 days, huh? I haven't slept, I don't think, very much over the last 24 hours, just following all the things that have happened for the Orion spaceship. We had a perfect ride uphill, got into orbit, spent a good day, just checking out systems. And getting ready for TLI that Lori talked about, and a successful TLI and a really great precision burn that we just had. But I'll talk about the things that we accomplished yesterday. Yesterday, as you know, we did a proximity operations demonstration with the centerline camera and with the spacecraft. I call it test driving the car. It's been an awesome event for all the engineers and the team that's worked on it to hear Victor and Reed talk about our spaceship and the work that we put in to put into this capability for manual flying. I would say that, first of all, we accomplished all the test objectives that we set out for this proximity operations. We have 2 precision tests, and I'll describe a little bit about what those were. But I'll send with a picture first to show you and describe. This is a very close-in picture, these 3 pictures. On the, I guess, upper left of the picture is our centerline docking target right in the middle. It's a standoff cross that you'll see. It's a 2-foot wide target. This is the target that we're going to use for future missions. So this is the exact flight configuration that we would use. So it's really important that we got that on the interim cryogenic propulsion stage. So we were able to get that on that stage, and what we do, as I describe it, is as we separate from the ICPS, we do a backflip, 5 degrees per second, and we back away all the way as far in this demonstration was about 400 feet. And that back away scenario, that allows us to have a good standoff understanding. We're pretty far away, not this picture, but I'll talk a little bit about where this is going. Then we start doing what I call course manual piloting. And this allows, and you might have heard this, what Victor was doing was basically moving side to side with the spaceship, up and down, and then doing the rotation pitch, roll, yaw, making sure that the response from the spacecraft and the performance is what he's seeing. And the reason it's course is because you're so far away at 400 feet that you want to make sure you have big maneuvers so you can see the target going out of your field of view a little bit, okay? So that's what we did at the initial part, and then we slowly started coming in and approaching the vehicle. And that picture that you see in the upper left side is almost to 33 feet, 40 feet away, I think. And that's where we will do what I call fine manual piloting. So we're just doing a little bit of the same thing, side to side, up and down, doing the pitch, roll, and yaw maneuver and handling. And you heard that if you watched closely, and some great commentary. Especially, it was heartwarming to hear. I know I talked to some of our team members today, to hear that how well their baby worked, operating precisely. That is exactly what we wanted to do, holding the attitude and being able to maneuver very well and described, I think, just very excitedly by Reed and both Reed and Victor. I think it's really a great a moment for all of us who have been working in this arena to get this demonstration off. And of course, that wasn't the end of it. We did back away to about 65 feet, and we let the ICPS do a maneuver, and then we had another target, what we were calling this two-dimensional target. So it didn't have a standoff cross like we did on the ICPS nose. What we did was add a good 2-degree target or two-dimensional target on the spacecraft, on the ICPS, and then we did the same maneuver, but a little different. This maneuver was what we call 6-degree of freedom maneuver, where we were tracking and also maneuvering by rotating as well. So you're translating and rotating at the same time, and that allowed you to have a different characteristic of the vehicle performance in a manual piloting approach. And we were also able to go to this 33-foot range. So really important demonstration of both the fine and coarse handling of the spaceship for future missions as we go forward. And that was something that we wanted to make sure we brought down some risk. And you saw the images of the centerline camera, and performance was outstanding. And of course, the crew was outstanding. They did a terrific job. I actually flew the simulator. I did not qualify for this mission, unfortunately. So I definitely wasn't ready for this kind of mission, but Victor just did terrific and followed everything. And I saw the track today in terms of predictions, and I got to give kudos to him. He followed it right along, and it was a really great opportunity to demonstrate our capability. So that was a really important demonstration and test of our rendezvous and prox ops capabilities that we're going to need for the future. But also in that 24-hour period, we had to obviously demonstrate our readiness for translunar injection. We were able to really track a lot of the subsystems that we've learned from on Artemis I, but also the most important subsystem when we put humans on board is the life support system. And I'm happy to report that the performance of the CO2 scrubber, the ability to distribute water, control the temperature inside the cabin is exactly as we predicted, and in some cases better. And so that was really great. And of course, across all the other subsystems that we demonstrated in Artemis I, like power generation, was better than predicted. Also, over 13 kilowatts of power generation, and our ability to control, like I said, the inside cabin and control the temperature across all the parts of the spacecraft was right on and nominal. So that was really good to see. And of course, we were ready to execute the TLI burn today, and our guidance navigation control system was ready to go. and demonstrated through this burn its ability to handle this type of burn and the precision that's needed to take us to the moon and come back into Earth's atmosphere. So really great overall demonstration of the proxops, really great demonstration of the core subsystems that we have on board the spaceship that's required to execute the rest of the days of this Artemis II mission. And finally, I would say that we had, I would say, really great opportunity to just understand our overall performance across all these subsystems and making sure that we're ready to commit the crew to a safe journey to the moon and back. And we demonstrated that over the last 24 hours. We were able to, as Lori said, have a mission management team review of that and determined that we were go for TLI. And I'm just really happy that we're headed to the moon. Thank you.
All right, it's time now for questions. We'll start here in the room, and then we have several on the phone. A reminder, please raise your hand if you're here. We'll have a mic coming around. And then if you are joining by phone, *1 can get you into the question queue. And we will begin in the room here. Let's come around with the mic here in the front. Tarek, yep.
Thank you very much. Tarek Malik with Space.com, and I think it's for Howard. You know, the TLI seemed to go quite well, although I guess there were some reports of a couple of caution alarms that the crew reported, and then the mission control said, you know, it was not to worry about. And I'm just curious what those alarms were or those caution lights were, and you know how they were, I guess, set aside so quickly.
Okay. I'll let Jed maybe give some highlights there.
Yeah, so about 15, 20 minutes before TLI, we had a couple of nominal reconfiguration changes of the atmosphere revitalization system, the cabin fans. And when we were moding those to a different mode, the fan speed change caused the cabin sensors to dip below the caution limit or just a bit. And of course, that rang an alarm that was a suspected cabin leak. That was a false indication. And so we quickly knew that there was no leak. We knew that there was just the sensors dipping low pretty quickly. Additionally, there were some RCS, reaction control system, SM manifold messages that we had been seeing previously. Essentially, whenever we're using that system, there's a pressure sensor divergence. And we've seen that before, and so we knew exactly what those signatures were. So again, not an issue at all.
Eric.
Eric Berger, Ars Technica, and just congratulations. So far, it's been spectacular to behold all of this. I guess two questions for Howard. You know, first of all, quick question: were there any thruster issues during the ProxOps demo? Any sort of outages or concerns with that regard? Did everything perform nominally? And then does the performance and Victor's piloting during that exercise give you confidence in Orion's handling for the maneuvers contemplated in Artemis III with one or two of the HLS?
Yeah, no issues with the thrusters. They perform nominally and the performance is excellent. Relative to future confidence, this gives us a lot of confidence in terms of close in. I've talked previously about being on the docking axis. It's very important for the crew, because unlike Orbiter, where we were able to have situation awareness from the windows, when we approach closely, we are very dependent on the cameras and the LiDAR that will be on Artemis III and above for our relative navigation. And so this was a really good exercise of that. And of course, hearing the crew in a preliminary way through verbally, but we'll look at the data very closely and then get the post-flight report from them in detail. I think at first indication that the vehicle performed better than obviously they expected. And I think, for us, it was really good understanding of how the human in the loop part worked. We know precisely what our capabilities are when we have automated capability, but having a crew in the loop and demonstrating their capabilities and being able to hold and be able to execute a translational and rotational maneuvers and being able to do that precisely is really outstanding. And I look forward to them coming back home, telling us all the nuances. I'll be sitting in hours with them and questioning them on how they felt about it and what the responses were based on the pulses they put in. But yes, it's very, very heartwarming to hear that from the crew, and of course, even better to get the technical data and play that forward.
Go ahead.
Mark Kirkman with NSF. This is probably for a combination of both Judd and Howard. Now that we're committed with TLI, during Translunar Coast, the attitude you're going to hold, what are the out-the-view windows for the crew? Are they going to be, what are they going to be able to see Earth with regard to Earth or the Moon? And also, prior to the flight, you were talking about, based on TLI, what they would get to see when they do the close observation. It was based on the sun angle of high, medium, or low. What did we end up getting based on the launch day and the TLI that we're in? And if you don't mind, just based on what he said, I'd like to follow up with Howard. It sounds like, based on what Ike said and you said, that the handling qualities, tight, deadbeat damping, that this is better than you predicted. Is that a true statement?
You want me to start first and
go ahead.
talk about that? I would say that, you know, predictions are hard. There's a human in the loop kind of element, and we practice that. So I would say, yes, definitely maybe better than we anticipated in a lot of ways, because there's variations by which we go into space. On a closed loop control system, for guidance, navigation, control, when you have an automated system, you know precisely and you predict exactly how the system will respond. The crew is well trained, and Victor did exactly what he needed to do, and the spacecraft responded.
As far as where the vehicle will be pointed, most of the time we spend in a tail to sun attitude. So we take the back end of the vehicle, point it towards the sun, and so whatever the geometry is, you know, that's what you get. We sometimes have the advantage when we have good power balance. We can move the solar arrays that have cameras on the end, and we can move those around and see what you know, look back at the Earth or look forward at the Moon. Also on you know, flight day 6, whenever we do the lunar closer approach, we'll change attitude, make sure that the crew has those views of the lunar surface. As far as the lighting of the Moon, this was a lower lighting day that we launched. I think it was in the 20 to 30%, 20% lit you know, area. So we'll still get good you know, shots from the crew. We'll still get great descriptions, you know, from their, you know, Mark I eyeballs. But you know, I mean, we're going around the Moon, so that's the main thing, right? I mean.
Okay, we'll take two more on the end here, and then we'll go to the phone. So go ahead, Jackie.
Hi, Jackie Waddle, CNN. Quick question for Howard. I know Victor said that he was going to give the Cooper-Harper rating scales during the prox ops. Are you able to share those numbers? Just curious to know how it handled. And then also would love to just ask a general question about the crew, how they're adjusting to orbit. Specifically curious about the first-time flyer and whether there's any space adaptation syndrome without, you know, invading privacy. Thanks so much.
Yeah, I'm sure we can share the Cooper-Harper handling qualities. I mean, we did assessments with the simulator, and we'll do it as part of this demonstration, and love to hear that feedback. I think we got some additional feedback, like I said, but look forward to that. Yeah, definitely. But I'll let Judd answer the other question about
yeah. As far as the crew members, they're doing great. There's no indication that they're having any problems at all. So I don't expect that they're having any problems.
Hi, Lauren Grush with Bloomberg. Thanks so much and congratulations again. I wanted to ask about the troubleshooting of the toilet that happened on that first day. Can you just explain to us what the issue was and how they fixed it? And on a priority scale, would you say this was a #1 priority or a #2?
So when, you know, we had always planned to wet the toilet with some water that we had pulled out of the PWD, the potable water dispenser, and it turns out, I guess, we didn't put enough in, and so the pump was not fully wetted, and so it has automatic fault detection in that if it's not you know, fully wetted, it'll shut itself down. So once we figured out that we didn't put enough water in, we put more in there, made sure that it was essentially primed, the pump was primed, and then the toilet came right back up.
I will say that in addition, a good kind of byproduct of this, while we're working through those procedures, we were able to check out the secondary vent line for the urine as well. And so that was a good, that's a alternate path. If we could not go with the primary line, we were able to bend out on the secondary line, and we were able to demonstrate that. And we didn't demonstrate it today, the primary vent line through the working toilet. So I think both lines are working well, and really happy about that.
Yeah, I'll just add real quickly that I think, this is a great example of some of the procedural things as we're learning to work and live in the Orion capsule. We've got real humans in there. They're trying to live and learn, and we're gonna learn things along the way. Oops, we need to do this. We need to prime it first. This is the kind of things we're gonna get.
All right, we'll take several questions from the phone now, and we'll start with Marcia Dunn from the Associated Press.
Oh yes, hi. Good evening. I have a question probably for you, Lori. Could you just or anybody really, could you talk about the stress level in mission control prior to the TLI burn? I mean, were you really sweating it there? And now that that's done, do you have any new revised numbers for the moon lunar flyby distance? Do you still think the Orion's going to go 4,000 miles past the moon before turning around? Maybe closer to 5,000. Any new lunar distance numbers from today? Thanks.
Hey, Marcia. Thanks for the questions. I'll let Jed speak to what the mood was like down in Mission Control. I was actually sitting up observing the room and listening in on the loops. And, everything was, it seemed like it was going very smoothly. They always seem so calm and controlled down there in Mission Control. Up in the room where I was with several other folks, as soon as we counted down and we started that burn, we just sat in silence and watched the clock go and waited for that statement that said the burn was complete. And it was just wonderful to just sit there, watch, enjoy it, and say, we've done this. So it's a great accomplishment. We're really proud of all the teams that got us to this point. Let's see, the second question, about the distance. So the anticipated distance, I believe, was around 4,600 miles from the surface, is that right? It's a good burn, so I'm anticipating we'll be pretty close to that, but I don't know that anyone's done the actual calculation yet.
Yeah, assuming that we had a nominal burn, which we did, the max distance that our folks calculated was 219,639 nautical miles max distance from the Earth.
Yeah. Okay.
So, as far as the mood in Mission Control, these teams have done lots and lots of simulations, and so I would say they're consummate professionals. Everybody, even with the sensor problems that we had, able to do the TLI and get us through everything perfectly. So I mean, I wouldn't say there's any stress level at all.
Yeah, maybe Lori, I'll jump in on the mission evaluation room that supports the flight control team. I was in there with the team, and we have high confidence in our main engine. We've operated several times on Artemis I, and of course we operated the upper stage separation burn as well. And I'll just tell you, everybody was standing, not so much nervous, just excitement. And then in one of our conference rooms where we had a couple of G&C experts with us, we geeked out and talked about TGO, VGO, Lambda, Lambda dot, and teaching a class on how these burns were calculated, what the guidance targets were, and it was really fun to listen to that while we waited for the TIG. So it was really fun.
All right, our next question on the phone line is from Andrea Leinfelder with the Houston Chronicle.
Hi, I have a question on the exercising. So I was watching the video when Reed was exercising, and I know Mission Control kind of started chuckling because you could see the movement. So I was wondering if you could kind of quantify a little bit how much it was moving. I know it was expected, but I'm still curious to know how much. Also, just a technical question. Would you say that Orion was in high Earth orbit or low Earth orbit during the TLI burn, just because it seems so close to the Earth? Thanks.
Can we take that? Let's see. As far as the exercise, the flywheel machine, it's a little bit like a rowing machine. I think you saw that. I mean, are you asking? I didn't quite understand the question. Like, how much movement does the capsule do while we're doing the the movement? Is that the question? Yeah, I don't think we saw anything that we didn't expect.
Yeah, you'll see some solar array dynamics, which is expected, but it didn't perturb any of our control where we've had to make any adjustment, big burns or anything like that to control the attitude, is where you would hear or get affected by those dynamics. Of course, we'll look at the data. You know, I wasn't sitting in front of the data console today, but I just saw it on the videos that were coming down, and we'll talk to the team, but we didn't expect anything different. I asked our guidance navigation guys if there was any issues, and they said nope, didn't see any issues relative to exercise. And then, of course, we'll always look at the data and go by that, but looks good so far.
Let's see, and the other question was, were we in a high Earth orbit when we did TLI? Yes, technically we were, but we were at the lowest part, perigee of the orbit, so we were about 100 nautical miles off the Earth's surface, traveling about 23,000 and change miles per hour. And so because we did the TLI burn, now that takes us out of the high Earth orbit and gets us on that free return trajectory to the side of the moon.
Okay, next up is Nell Greenfield-Boyce with NPR.
Hey, can you hear me okay? Thanks
Yes.
for having this briefing. I would appreciate hearing a little more about the water dispenser situation. It sounded like just before the burn, they were doing what they were calling like water ops, and they were bagging up water in plastic bags. Could you just go over exactly what the issues were with the dispenser and why it was decided to have backup water and how much water the astronauts actually bagged up? Thank you.
Yeah, great question. So during ascent, so we have 4 water tanks in the Orion service module, and each one of those tanks has an isolation valve between them. The isolation valve between the middle 2 tanks failed closed during ascent, and so it essentially isolated 2 tanks on one side and 2 tanks on the other. Each end of those tanks goes to one of 2 different water dispensers, a primary and a secondary, so we have full access to all of the water. However, in an abundance of caution, we decided probably good, just in case we have a subsequent failure of an isolation valve, to bag some water, and so that's exactly what we did. We're going to bag some water in the cabin and preserve that just in case we have a subsequent failure.
Okay, our next question is from Joey Roulette with Reuters.
Hey, thanks. I just wanted to clarify the predicted maximum distance from Earth. Did you say 219,000 miles? And is that based on, and that's based on the TLI burn that was just done today, right?
Those are our predicts prior to us performing the TLI burn, so that assumed a perfect TLI burn, so I haven't gone and run those numbers again.
And just real quick, the reason I asked, of course, is because that's far below the record breaking for Apollo 13. Is that your guys' understanding, I guess?
That's in nautical miles. So the Apollo distance record in nautical miles was about 216,000 nautical miles.
Okay, our next question is from Jackie Mogensen with Scientific American.
Hi, thanks for this. I have a bit of a general question and then a specific one. The general one is, how do you feel like everything is it going to plan, and are there any concerns you're keeping an eye on at this point? And then more specifically, I was curious if you could tell us about what to expect from the first high-res images and video, as well as when we might see the solar eclipse. Thank you.
I think I'll take a stab. It's echoing in here, so it's kind of hard to hear the question. But I think the first one is how things are going. Is there anything we're tracking? And I'll just look over at my colleagues. But things are going really well. I think we couldn't be more pleased with how well things are going. Right now, we're not tracking any issues of concern. As I said, we're learning from the spacecraft, but that's what we anticipate, and we're not tracking anything. We went straight into the TLI with absolute confidence that we can complete the rest of this mission as planned. I think the other part of the question had to do with some of the imaging and expectations for when we'll get some of those back, in particular the eclipse. I'm really excited about the eclipse that we're probably going to encounter now as part of this mission. I think the crew's excited about it as well. I know they did a little training to learn about what they're going to see. It'll be really cool when they're out and beyond the moon, be able to look back with the moon eclipsing the sun. They'll be able to see the sun's corona. That's kind of a cool, exciting thing to do. So they've been trained on it, and they're looking forward to it.
Okay, we'll come back here in the room for other questions. Let's start here in the second row.
Hi, Michael Atkinson, Houston Public Media. There was a little bit of online chatter about the Outlook issues that were happening with Reed Wiseman. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what exactly was going on with that.
Yeah, this is not uncommon. We have this on station all the time. Sometimes Outlook has issues getting configured, especially when you don't have a network that's directly connected. And so essentially we just had to reload his files on Outlook, to get it working.
Okay, go ahead.
Richard Tu with the Post newspaper. A question for Howard. You talked earlier about a ground issue related to the communications problem. Can you explain that a little bit more? Was it literally like a loose screw, or was it something underground cabling, maybe a resistance issue? Can you elaborate on that a little bit more? Thank you.
Yeah, I can take that. So we have a processor at White Sands ground terminal. It's called a serial communication processor. In order to get return telemetry, it has to translate the radio messages to something that our front-end processors at MCC can understand. So that processor is supposed to be in a configuration for nominal S-band Orion telemetry. We essentially found a bug that we didn't know was there before. So when we did our checkouts, part of our checkout is to put in a configuration for the emergency comm configuration. When we commanded it back to the nominal configuration, it showed that it had taken, but it did not actually. And so you basically had to go into low-level commanding to see what was the actual configuration and do that. So it's a software bug we now understand that we hadn't seen before, and so no issue with us going forward.
Okay, we'll go right here.
Hi, thanks for doing this. Beverly Casillas for Space Scout. So we talked a little bit about some of the communications anomalies and other kind of teething issues we saw on that first day of flight. And I was just curious, what would you say has been the biggest learning moment about the Orion spacecraft so far during the mission? And have there been any surprises? Thanks.
Yeah, I think the biggest learning is always first-time systems. And I always go to life support. Being able to control humidity and scrubbing CO2, which performance is really great. In fact, we're maybe becoming, we need a little bit more humidity. I think it's doing too well sometimes. But I think those are things that are, like Lori said, we're learning, we're adjusting how to operate the spaceship with actual people on board. And that are actually putting out CO2 and breathing in oxygen. So I think this is one of the things that we've learned in that 24 hours. We're learning a lot. The trending data, the sensors we have on board in terms of accuracy, being able to track that very closely is something that we're going to learn. No surprises. We expect good performance from our subsystems. So we're very happy about that. And again, we knew that we would learn a lot. And the other thing we would learn a lot is what you guys were all referring to relative to caution warnings. I think, we have thousands of caution warnings on board the spaceship, and it provides a lot of good information for the crew. But also we're learning about the boundaries of these caution warning parameters and whether they're really nuisances or whether they're real issues. And I think this is one of the things that we'll learn all the way along the mission as we utilize and learn more about the spacecraft and approach all these objectives we're trying to accomplish along the way.
Okay, right here.
Hi, T.G. Mascaro with the Epoch Times. Thank you all so much, and congratulations again. My question for Lori, in terms of a little clarification on the timeline. With the eclipse, you said it'll be when they're behind the moon, so will that be on day 6? And also, is there any clarification on what part of the timeline we'll be having the ship-to-ship communication with the station?
That's definitely a question for Judd here. We'll let him, he's got the detailed timeline right in front of him.
Yes, it is Flight Day 6 that the crew will be behind the moon. Let's see, and your other question was?
The ship-to-ship.
Ship-to-ship comm. I think we were going to do that on Flight Day 8 or 9. I don't know where that ended up.
7, I believe.
Yeah, maybe it's on 7. Yep, it's Flight Day 7.
Okay, let's come here to the woman with her hand up. Yes.
Hi, Katrina Miller for the New York Times. How fast will Orion move as it heads to the moon, like the maximum speed? And have the crew members been able to check in with their families yet, or when will this happen?
Okay, so it changes speed as it goes around in orbit. The maximum speed we just experienced at TLI, which was, we started off at 23,660 miles per hour. We added about 867 miles per hour, so that's 24,500, something like that, 24,500 miles an hour. And then as we get closer to the moon will be our lowest speed around the apogee, which is around, I think, 1,300 foot per second, which I'm not going to do math in public on how many miles per hour that is. But then once we come back to Earth, it gets around that same speed, around 25,000 miles per hour as we get to entering our interface.
And they talk to their family.
Okay. Let's actually come over to this side here in the middle. Oh, and there was the question, additional question about if the crew has spoken with family yet.
Yeah, I don't believe they haven't had time to talk to their families yet. They've been really busy, so we'll make time for that as we get, now that we're past TLI.
Robert Coppinger, British Interplanetary Society Spaceflight magazine. The RCS thrusters on the service module, are they European technology or American technology? And Administrator Isaacman's distance record from one of his 2 space flights, when does Integrity beat that?
Well, I would say the RCS, or Reaction Control System, if you're asking that, that is a European-built system. I don't know about Administrator Isaacman's distance, so I can't comment on that.
I suspect we've already broken that.
I thought we broke it when we went into the high Earth
orbit, but
yeah, when we got out to apogee, we would have already exceeded that.
Okay, was there another question? Second row here, yes. And then we'll go back to a few more from the phone.
Hi, JJ Love with Tech Talk Media. Thanks for taking my question. The viewers of our Inside NASA Innovation series are eager to understand the broader human impact of this mission. So looking beyond the boundaries of space exploration itself, which industries here on Earth stand to benefit most from what you're discovering up there? And what is being learned in the mission that will tangibly improve life for people down here?
Oh, those are some good questions. I think from the industry standpoint, I think there's a whole range of things that we're going to benefit. Number one, just thinking basically just in our production capabilities within the U.S. and around the world. But I feel certain we're going to be pushing boundaries of technologies as well, not just in the systems that we're flying on the rockets, but even in some of the things we're testing out inside the crew cabin for the crew to use, the cutting edge of technology. So a lot of amazing things there. And then what was the second part of your question? Oh, help life on Earth. It's always a wonderful question, and I really feel like the exploration that we do is just inspirational for everyone here on Earth, hopefully inspiring our young people around the world, the Artemis generation that's growing up now to want to grow and achieve and to learn and to start trying to think through where they're going to dedicate their talents as they get older and learn the different skills that we need to cut the edge of new technologies into the future.
Okay, we'll go back to the phone for several questions. Our next one is from Robert Perlman with collectspace.com.
Hi. You know, the quote, "You'll go for TLI," is one of those iconic quotes from the Apollo years that just has held the test of time. But Michael Collins was the astronaut who coined it, and he later said that maybe he should have picked out something more momentous. I'm wondering, you know, now having gone through a TLI, if you think that it speaks to, or not, does it hide how this burn is different from all other burns, that this is the one that you're committing to leave Earth's orbit and go to the moon, and there's no turning back. I know that you said that there wasn't extra stress, that you had practiced this over and over, but was there any moment that you actually, you know, gulped hard that, yeah, we're going to the moon?
So the question, it was a little bit garbled. I think it was about the TLI burn and that burn being perhaps special in the minds of the team. Robert, may need to get you to say some of that again. I think we captured that, though.
Yeah, that's do you think the public, when they hear go for TLI, or when we speak about it normally during a press conference like this, does it really convey how the momentous moment that it actually captures?
So I think what he's getting at here with the question, help me if I get this incorrectly, but you know, as we're executing on that 5-minute burn, is there a point at which our teams, as we're executing, kind of absorb the impact of just how important this burn is, and how, you know, if we don't get it all the way through the burn, then what would happen? I don't know if you want to speak to how your teams execute within the mission control. They're very measured, they're very controlled, they execute, and they're ready to respond.
Yeah, I would say we probably reflect on that after our shift, and we'll execute everything professionally. Probably save the reflection for after our shift, and certainly that reflection, I suspect everybody, you know, understands that this is a once in a lifetime you know, moment.
All right, our next question on the phone is from Christopher Mick with the Hudson Star Observer.
Thank you for taking the question and for all your time tonight. Another amazing day here in the mission. I just want to ask, I think these would be for Jed and Howard. I was wondering, the crew sounded very busy in the time I was hearing the loops today, and I was just wondering on the astronauts' kind of individual task timelines, if they're kind of on schedule for that or falling behind at all or skipping some things. And then maybe to Howard, if there was any time for Earth observation photography, if there's any feedback from the crew on how things were going shooting through the Orion windows.
So I would say there were, as far as the timeline goes, there were a few things that the crew was not able to get to today and yesterday, and that's fine. We knew this was going to be a very, very packed first 2 days, and now once we've got past TLI, we've got lots more time to do things, and observation certainly is one of those things that the crew absolutely will be doing during their time, and they've got plenty of time now to reflect and do those other operations.
Yeah, I'll say that although, like Jed said, maybe a few things didn't get done in the schedule that was planned that could be made up, the real important one for me at least was this ProxOps demonstration. I think we budgeted around 71 minutes. The crew finished in 65. And that was awesome because, like I said earlier, we were able to accomplish all our objectives and within that time period, because we were having to exit and leave the ICPS distance and move on towards the orbit. So having that done and getting all those objectives accomplished was very significant, and I'm really happy to do it with some margin.
Okay, our next question is from David Denault with About Space Today News.
Good evening. I have a question. Has there been a formal report issued yet on the possible damages caused by Artemis II compared to Artemis I? I understand that it caused some damage to the elevators, and it also burnt through the surface area, scorching it. Has there any report issued on that as yet?
So this is the question related to the potential damage to the Mobile Launcher 1, where we launched yesterday. We've talked many times about the ruggedization that we did to the Mobile Launcher following the Artemis I mission. And what I can tell you is that our initial assessment is showing that most of the damage is really largely cosmetic. Really, overall, everything's looking pretty good, especially compared to Artemis I. We know we're going to have some repairs that we'll need to do, but those repairs, the repairs that we made following Artemis I largely worked, so that's a good thing. We are in the process of doing an in-depth assessment of what kind of damage was received there. We do know that there were some bolts, some latching bolts that perhaps didn't hold as anticipated, and there was some, I believe, some issues down in the firing well there. But we're still doing the assessment, so hold tight, and we'll get you some more details as we better understand exactly where that mobile launcher is right now.
Okay, Philip.
Hi, Philip Sloss. I guess a quick follow-up with Lori about the mobile launcher. After the first launch, there was a pneumatic leak. You didn't see any issues in terms of the continuity with the pneumatic systems in those lines?
Everything's doing extremely well, actually, yeah. And the water suppression system was able to wash things down, so we didn't have the issues of the concerns with corrosion, the pneumatics. All of the other systems seem to fare extremely well.
Okay. And then a quick one for Judd, hopefully. On the first launch, SLS had a tiny underspeed at MECO. And I know they were looking to make some tweaks so that they would hit the exact targeted MECO. What did you see yesterday during the ascent?
Yeah, as I mentioned, right on the money.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, I'm Kaya Burgess from the Times of London. How closely did you study in planning this mission the free return slingshot trajectory of Apollo 13 in terms of the lessons to be learned of what to do similarly or what to avoid, and how different will this trajectory be from the only other time humans have taken that trajectory around the moon and back?
You take it.
Okay, so it is slightly different from Apollo 8. Apollo 8 actually went into the lunar orbit, gravity well, right? Orion doesn't have the capability or the propellant to do that, and so we're taking advantage of the gravity to slingshot Orion back around the moon. So it's quite actually in the early design of Apollo. As a matter of fact, Apollo 13 got on a free return trajectory to get it into a minimum energy state so that it could go back to Earth. And so this is more like that trajectory in that we're taking advantage of the moon's gravity as an assist so that we don't have to burn as much propellant.
My question is, how does it compare to Apollo 13?
Oh, 13, not 8. Okay, yeah, it's similar. So we got on a free return trajectory on Apollo 13, very similar to the one that we are doing now.
Okay, we'll take another question in the room over here.
I'm just wondering, I work in television, and when they're going around the moon, what are the visuals going to be like? Because I know Apollo 11, when they were live, they're black and white. And we're seeing some of the images now from the spacecraft, which we love, but they're not as grainy as they were in the Apollo days, but they're not necessarily as wonderful as maybe SpaceX gives us right now with some of their work. So what can we expect to see visually as they're going around the moon? What's it going to look like?
So I'll say that we're much further away from the moon than we were on closest approach for, say, Artemis I or even, Apollo 8, for instance, 3,000 to 4,000 nautical miles away. So the moon will look smaller. It's what I've been told is if you take a basketball at arm's length, that's about what it's going to look like from the crew's vantage point. Certainly the camera technology is a lot better than it was in the 60s, so we'll have that advantage. We also have some really long lenses that the crew have for their handheld cameras, Nikons and Z9s. So they'll hopefully when we get those downlinked, they'll be really sharp images that we've all come to expect
Yeah,
from modern technology.
the one thing I'll just mention, and Judd can probably jump in on this one as well, is, while the camera technology that we have up there is outstanding, and we'll have very, very high resolution, high quality images, the downlink from the moon is not as great as it could be, as it is from low Earth orbit. And so it will take a little longer to get some of those data down, and sometimes I would imagine the early downloads will be somewhat reduced resolution so that we can get them down here and at least share the lower resolution. And then as we have the capability and the bandwidth to download the higher res, we'll make those available.
Go ahead.
Moises Avila, AFP, Agence France Presse. I know that more than 50 years have passed and this is a new world and new technology, but compared to the Apollo missions, what things have changed and what protocols or beliefs maybe, or traditions maybe remain?
Well, when you say what has changed, I mean, certainly the computing capability in the amount of software. We have over 900,000 lines of software. And so I think the ability for the crew to engage in the systems in a very deep level through the displays. And of course, we have electronic procedures, which Judd and his team is very familiar with.
It appears we've had a
in space,
bit of a connection issue. Oh, we got it back. Sounds like.
Rendezvous prox-ups and docking, just even with the camera, is a huge step in technology. And so I think this is one of these things where the ability for us to utilize the technology to advance and make it easier on the crews to operate. And of course, leveraging the ability for us to build a little bigger spaceship, a third larger, and allow us to fly another crew member and be able to compact that in smaller components, but yet still provide the same functionality and even more in some cases is a huge advancement for us. So I think overall, but physics doesn't change. The teardrop shape is very efficient from an aerodynamics perspective. The Apollo giants were just very good technical engineering experts, and engineering and the physics does not change. And so we learned a lot from them in terms of the things they learned, and we leveraged off of that.
Okay, we'll take one final question here.
Thank you, Rachel. Will Robinson-Smith with Spaceflight Now. Thank you all for your time tonight. A couple of quick ones for Judd. You mentioned when we spoke back in September that a pad abort would be the riskiest that the crew could possibly endure. I wonder, as you saw Ascent and they ticked past those abort scenarios, how you were feeling, getting further and further along the pathway. And now that the crew is in flight, I know we discussed in some previous briefings that certain abort scenarios or early returns are still possible even past TLI. At what point does it make the most sense to continue with the free return as opposed to an early U-turn? Thank you.
Yeah, so always feel great not to have to do an abort, period, right? And so I'm happy that SLS performed so well, that ICPS performed so well that we didn't even have to entertain that. As far as now that we're post TLI, it's about a day or two in past TLI where it's no longer feasible to do what we call a direct abort, and it's more likely that we'll get home at the same time if we just continue on in the free return trajectory.
All right, well, with that, we'll go ahead and conclude. I want to thank our participants for joining us today. You can follow all of our mission progress in the multitude of ways we have available on nasa.gov, and we look forward to providing another update tomorrow afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
And there you go. That is the latest information that we've just heard from NASA live from the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. Basically, it sounds like everything went very well with that translunar injection burn, which happened just a short time ago. They are on their way to the moon. For the most part, everything on their spacecraft seems to be performing exactly as planned, and they're just a couple days away from heading to the moon, where they will see the far side, get some, sounds like pretty good photography, despite it being not one of the best possible days for lighting, but they will get that very unique eclipse where it will be blocking the sun, and they'll be able to study the corona there as well. Alex, I don't know if there was anything that jumped out to you, because they were giving a lot of numbers out there too about trajectories and paths and everything. Anything jump out at you?
Yeah, I think some of the journalists that were asking about that critical, furthest distance from Earth for this mission, I sort of wrote it down, and I think he said 219,639 miles, which would turn out to be 406,000, and these are nautical miles, by the way, 406,771 kilometers, which would be quite far out. For the closest distance to the moon, they said about 4,600 nautical miles, which turns out to be about 8,500 kilometers. So yeah, I guess, those are the things that as soon as he started saying them, I was like, and trying to note them, just in case, right? But look, it's just a bunch of data. If that's the only few things, like if the few things that they need to ask about are like, oh, the toilet and the pump was not primed on the toilet or whatever, and things like that, or the Microsoft tablets, right, and all that stuff. Like, if that is the only thing that we really need to talk about that is big enough to really be talked about, I think we're in a great path with this mission. And now they are moonbound essentially, right? Although that last question, he said first day or so they can still try and return back if they really need that, right? But so far still moonbound. That translunar injection completed, and hopefully that'll just be the start of the Artemis program.
Exactly, and it sounds like everything went well as well for, I guess we'll call it a gravity de-assist, or at least a gravity
well, it's
gravity
a gravity
reduction assist.
Yeah, I think somebody mentioned in the conference that it was a slingshot or something, and we were talking about it in the back channel. It was like, well, it's definitely a gravity assist. The difference is which way it assists you, right? Either decelerating or accelerating, or even changing the direction, right? But either way, whatever. It's whatever you want to call it. It's definitely a gravity assist, whatever other nickname you want to use. It's a whole different thing.
All the Kerbal Space Program players on our back channel were weighing in on the proper terminology of what that maneuver
Yeah, we're
is.
calling it the arresting cable maneuver or something like that, because that's a slingshot maneuver. So since this is also sort of slowing down and pulling into the moon and things like that, then it's also the arresting cable maneuver, I guess.
Yeah, and again, you can see there the timeline. MET, by the way, I've been seeing people asking about that. That is mission elapsed time. That is time since Artemis II lifted off SLS, igniting those boosters at 6:35 p.m. Eastern Time on April 1st. So that is time since that exact point. So that's what you see with the MET. And on the other side of the slash, that is days. So 6 days, 7 days, as you see there. And of course, some other things they'll be doing 8 or 9 days in, as they heard, or I believe day 7, being able to talk with the crew aboard the International Space Station in the first time that there will be a crew away from low Earth orbit, talking with a crew not on the Earth, but still in Earth orbit. So that will be
looking
exciting.
at the moon?
I think so.
That looks like it.
Looking at the destination.
Again, as they pointed out, I was just going to say, they pointed out the orientation of it is going to be the backside of the spacecraft pointed towards the sun. So wherever that ends up being for the windows until they get behind the moon, that's the view the crew gets. But this is a great view for us.
Yeah. It's going to get bigger and bigger in this view.
Over the coming days. Let me continue to thank some people, because a lot of support has come in prior to and while we were doing the listening into the press conference there. Apocalypse Cow gifting 10 Red Team memberships. Thank you very much for that. Redman gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Again, great time to be a member with all of the Artemis content that's been coming out. Reminder that members were the first ones to get access to the NSF Artemis II patch, available now to everyone. You should go check it out. Shop.nasaspaceflight.com. I absolutely love the patch design. I think all three of us are wearing the shirt. Look at that. Where's the patch shirt? There it is. All of us have it. But the patch itself is really high quality. I was holding one the other day. So nice. You should get one. Echo deal. So even astronauts is an email job now. I can only imagine, though, if their ground outlook, what their out of office message is. Currently going to the moon. Be back. Be back in 10 days. Akers MC, when will they pass through the Van Allen belts, and how long will they be in them? Which of you wants to take on that question?
That is an Alex question.
Well, this one is a very easy one because they've pretty much been for a little bit during the past orbit, that 24-hour orbit that they were in, right? It goes all the way to 70,000 kilometers. So in between, that's where the Van Allen belts are. And then in this outbound cruise to the moon, they're also going to be crossing again. There's always this whole thing about, ooh, it's some deadly belt of radiation and everything. It's just that the radiation goes up a little bit more than the background, right? And depending on the time and also the inclination, for example, of the orbit, because it's a belt and so it's around the equator, right? There's a little bit towards the poles, but not too much, right? It's got a bit of thickness, if you can imagine like a donut shape, right? But if you can sort of go with an inclination, you can sort of also avoid and prevent the thickest parts of that radiation. So it's not such a huge deal. And at the end of the day, it's one of those places anyways where they're going to be getting all of that data, right? One of the things that they saw, for example, during Artemis 1 was hits of that radiation impacting and sort of having an impact on the computers of Orion. And so the systems are already built for that sort of thing, and the walls are thick enough for that kind of radiation for the astronauts and things like that. We were talking before about, setting up a radiation shelter. That's when you got like a solar storm, coronal mass ejection and things like that, where you actually have big chunks of radiation coming your way from the sun. That's when they should set up that kind of stuff. And they have a demonstration of that later into the mission if they were to need it in some other future mission. So yeah, all the bases are covered in that sense.
All their bases are radiation shielded, yes. Bideford coming in with the $25 super chat. How you doing, Bideford? Saying, thanks for all the additional coverage. Love this so much. Appreciate it. Danuth, also over on the 24/7 stream, saying they looked everywhere and appreciate the coverage. So thank you so much for the kind words over there, too. Sareed, also upgrading to launch director. Everyone tonight with the high level of support as well. We genuinely appreciate it. Again, we can only do what we do because of the support. To have all the cameras that we had out in the field and to have all of the coverage. You heard we have team members there in Houston covering this mission as well. We have us here today. All of this is because of your support. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you. So the support helps. Just liking the stream and subscribing and sharing and all that stuff also helps us out as well. Tuning in to our 24/7 stream that we have, and of course getting the patches and things, all of that helps. Bob Davis, sorry I've been playing my KSP. Hey, like we were talking about the KSP numbers there. Everyone's weighing in. Cypher saying, Cronkite would not break in with breaking news, the office chair has been moved. The chair has been moved. Love that moment during rollout stream. George Moore saying, thank you for your coverage. Best around. Also appreciate that. Ophaze, can we finally answer who does number 2 work for? Anyway. Only because it's you, Hophaze. Cygnus, thank you for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Roy Jenkins, thank you for the support. Appreciate that. Danuth also becoming a PadRat member on this stream while helping out over on the 24/7 stream. Thank you for that. Unicode becoming a Capcom member. We will see you in the Discord. So appreciate that level of support. Power Corrupts, we are still silly. I think that's a monkey emoji. Trying to see on my screen here without getting out of camera frame. Wascally Wabbit saying, first manned mission to Mars. Houston, you are go for TMI. Astronauts start telling us way more than we ever wanted to know. That seems to be, we had TMI with the toilet solution, and now we have TLI with the translunar injection. So it works out. And then Norfindir, thank you for becoming a PadRat member. Same with Cow, gifting a Red Team membership over on the other stream. Thank you. We're talking about that other stream. While the dedicated coverage for TLI may be coming to an end, our coverage does not end until splashdown. We are covering the mission, we've been calling it 24/10, 24 hours a day until the end of day 10. Hey, there it is. Woo! Trying to see what we could do.
You can see me doing this. Continue on forever.
Anyway, it won't be like that all the time, don't worry. But we'll have all the different views that we're able to get from the spacecraft, the communications loops, which stations are talking to it, DSN and things like that, all of that. 24/10, so until splashdown, approximately 10 days after launch. We appreciate all of the support and everyone joining us. And of course, we have our regular updates where we'll pop in occasionally over there and let you know what's going on. And I have to thank everybody here who joined me to help tell you what was going on today with history, as humans are back on their way to the moon for the first time in more than 50 years. Ryan, thank you for joining.
It has been an absolute pleasure. It's wonderful to hear that the crew are well. Everything, bar some toilet and Outlook blips, is going 100% to plan, and yeah, we are going to the moon. And I'm not saying we're going to the moon, but we still have to launch and we still have to do all the burns before we can actually get there. We've done the launch, we've done the burns. We can't scrub this mission anymore. 4 human beings are in a spacecraft on a trajectory to intercept the moon, and that hasn't happened since 1972.
Oh, still get chills thinking of that. Alex, thank you for joining as well.
It's been a pleasure as usual. It's kind of bonkers that, we're able to live in this era, right? As we've been calling it, the Artemis generation and things like that. I always, as we were preparing for this mission, I was looking back on the Apollo missions and things like that. And one of the phrases that resonated with me was the Apollo 17 plaque, saying that was just the first of the explorations of the moon, right? Here is the second one, and hopefully the last one, because this time we're going to stay, right? This is just the second batch, basically, of missions, and it's going to be an infinite one, because there's just going to be a lunar base, right? It's one of those things, like there's that work towards that sort of plan. Just like, with Antarctica, there were many explorations, many visits and things like that, until eventually we got a permanent base. And so similar thing with this, Artemis II is just a start.
I love that. This is just the start. And again, this just a day or so into this mission. So this is still just the start of the mission. So thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you to Jay Keegan for pushing the buttons, pulling the levers, bringing in all the feeds and everything today. I'm Sawyer Rosenstein. I have been your host here at NSF. We're all a bit tired from the Artemis launch, but we are all beyond excited that humanity is finally making its way back to the moon. And as we pointed out, this time will be the jumping off point to setting up a base and staying on the lunar surface. Stick around for the Artemis 24/10 coverage that we have coming up, and we will see you all next time.
And here we go. There's the deluge. Here's ignition.
Doubling up.
Did he just do a Kerbal? Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, it sure looks like a perfect flow.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
We did have an observation.
Equalization.
343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers can fly! Bingo! Right in the center. Where's Jacqueline? There it is! That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No!
Oh my God.
Yikes. You bet. Sure. We don't need any more of these.
of the questions we get all the time is, are you excited? Absolutely.
Artemis II is more than a mission to the moon and back. It is the next step that gets humanity to Mars.
For decades now, literally thousands upon thousands have risen to that challenge.
May I introduce them to you all? Jeremy Hansen, Christina Hammett-Koch, Victor Glover, Reed Wiseman.
We are going to launch on top of the most powerful rocket NASA's ever made.
We're going to fly around the moon in the spacecraft Integrity. We are going to the moon together. Let's go.